Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with me, your host. My name is Chad Medved. Welcome to the show. Appreciate you being here. A couple of points of business before we get into this week's bread and butter. First thing is first, if you are listening to the podcast currently on Spotify, Spotify has recently integrated a reviewing capability. So, that being said, do your boy a solid. Scroll up on the app, on the Spotify app, top left, you'll see a little, I don't know, I guess it's a button, but it ain't really a button, you just touch it. But it's a star, click on it, slide it all the way to the right to that 5th star, and leave me a 5-star review. That would be much appreciated. Not really sure how much that is, how much weight the reviews hold on Spotify, but hey, I like the way it looks. But thanks in advance for anyone that takes the time to do it. All right, another big thing that I had to touch on. So you'll hear a live taste review of the brand new Turner Dairy, Pages Dairy limited edition milk collaboration. So they recently put on a chocolate milkshake, limited edition flavored milk. And me and my guest this week, I sit down with Cody Sabol. He and I taste this amazing creation live on air for the first time. No lies, no gimmicks, no nothing. You know, this was a cold taste test. Found them drinks, I think probably like 2 hours before Cody rolled over. I was like, yep, got them, grabbed them, had them on air. Amazing. If you are a Turner's fan and you enjoy delicious milks, I urge you to run on down to the local bodega that carries Turner products and grab yourself one of the brand new limited edition Turner's Pages collaborations chocolate milkshake flavored milk. That's a mouthful, but I'm telling you, if you buy this thing, it really is unreal. I believe I said it on here, but I think it's my favorite flavor out of all of them, which is, that's says a lot. It's saying a lot, but I urge you to go down and grab one before they're all sold out, because I'm sure they will not be around long. But the reason that everyone is here this week, I have a very special guest, a very great conversation as well. This week I sit down with Cody Sabol. Cody Sabol is an artist from Pittsburgh who specializes in speed painting. For those of you who do not know what speed painting is, Cody will take an image. First of all, he starts with a canvas that's like 60 inches tall by 60 inches wide. So it's pretty big. So he will take an image and he will take cans of paint and he will use his fingers and he will paint an image in a limited amount of time. And it will be just absolutely ridiculous. He's painting these pictures 8 to 12 minutes. He'll paint like a complete mural. And whenever I say, 8 to 12 minutes, excuse me, I had to take a sip. Whenever I say 8 to 12 minutes, he's not just doing some stick figures. He's painting legitimate, very great pieces of work. Cody has since, the past few years, he's blown up. He started doing, we talk all about his route on how someone becomes a speed painter. It's fascinating to me because, I feel like it's not like a career that you have ever, really learned that was a possibility. You know what I mean? This dude literally travels around the United States, probably soon the world, and just is hired to do these performances that are, like last week he went to one of the Carolinas and performed the halftime show at the Harlem Globetrotters. You know what I mean? People go to the Harlem Globetrotters because it is a show the whole time. You know what I mean? The halftime show of the Harlem Globetrotters gotta be a banger. You already know Cody was the halftime. I had Cody come in this week and we talk about everything from how art got introduced in his life to his trajectory coming out of high school to what he wanted to do to how his life kind of shifted him to go down the path of becoming a full-time artist. And it's a fascinating conversation. He's worked with everyone from George Strait, who is arguably one of the best country artists of all time, to, he's painted Sidney Crosby a million times for Sidney Crosby. He's a wild one. I'm honored to have him in here, and I will quit talking your ear off. So without further ado, episode 203 of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with Cody Sabol.
I gotta use the telephone.
Hello?
Telephone.
I'll call you right back. Call you right back.
Telephone.
I'll Call You Right Back podcast. All right, now we're here. It's official. Long time coming. Been having you in my sights since August, and we finally made it happen.
We did, yeah.
Finally made it happen. I appreciate your drive out here. Did you hit traffic?
Yeah, of course. Of course. It came from downtown. I probably started my drive at about, 4:45. So
4:45, about half hour to get out here.
yeah, it wasn't bad. I'm so used to it at this point that it doesn't affect me in the
Yeah,
slightest.
you're an animal to have a studio in the city and voluntarily want to go down there and deal with that.
What's nice is I can miss traffic if I wanted to. I'll typically leave after traffic dies, and then I will, I'll leave for the studio after traffic kind of dies down, and then I'll leave around 6:30. So it's never that bad.
You beat it.
I beat it.
You finesse it.
I've learned a thing or two in my years.
In your years, how many years you been here?
On Earth? 26.
26 years?
Yeah.
Nice. Congrats.
Oh, thanks,
Glad you
man.
made it here.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. So, I just got to ask you right from the beginning. First of all, I don't even understand how you do what you do. We will definitely get into the beginning of it. But when you paint someone, I don't get it. You'll say, I painted this person in 12 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you just look at a picture and study it and then it's in your mind and then you paint right from that? Or in that 12 minutes, are you going off camera and looking at an iPad picture and then coming back and doing it? Tell me this.
There's sort of a system that I've developed that'll help me single out colors and values and shapes in my mind. And so it started out when I started doing this, I tried to figure out what are the easiest types of pictures to recreate in a short amount of time. And typically they were just silhouettes, one color, black and white, high contrast things. And then you're just painting the light out of the black canvas. And then it developed into getting better at Photoshop. And from Photoshop, I do what's called posterize the image. And because I posterize the image, it breaks the image down into
Layers.
Yeah, 4 colors, 3 colors, 2 colors, and you just kind of pick what works best from there, and then you study that and it breaks it down.
It's insane to watch.
There's still it's still very, not to take the magic away from any of it, but that's just something I've learned to you try to learn how to succeed in what you do, and that's the thing that I'm using right now.
Yeah, you work smart, not hard.
Yeah.
Try to find the simplest solution to the goal you want to get to.
Yeah.
It's understandable. There's people that I know, artists that I know who do stencil type work with acrylic over it.
Yeah.
And it's a similar thing, the way that they take an image and it breaks it down into layers and they just cut it out of paper basically. But I don't want to take away the hard work it is to do all this shit. But it's very, very wild to me because last night I'm laying in bed with my wife and we're watching these videos and we're watching all these things that you're doing and I'm I don't get it. I don't get it. Cause you just start with this shape and it'll just be a complete outline in 1 minute. And I'm just I don't even understand how you keep it in track with your mind. Have you been doing art for a long time?
Yeah, I've been drawing and painting since I was a little kid. Everybody asked me, they're when did you start doing this? And I was well,
I know that you didn't from a young age, you were man, Mom, just put up a sheet and let me go crazy on it. You know what I mean?
I tell everybody, I started finger painting when I was 2, and but I've always wanted to recreate these. I've always just wanted to recreate pictures as realistically as I could. It was like a challenge for my brain. It was like this thing that developed into a hobby. And then in high school, I saw somebody do a live painting. And it was one of those things where I was like, I really love to perform. And I want to perform and paint at the same time. So like, I was like, maybe I could do that. And then it took a bunch of years to get good at it. And you know, I think I attribute my first speed painting to college. I was doing a lot of stuff with this band, and they were called Caleb Jones and the Family Band, and we had a group of like 8 or 9 guys in this band, and I would paint while they would play around campus or at these different events in Lexington and Huntington, West Virginia, and you know Ashland, and cool places like that, and it turned into this thing where I was like, all right, let's see how performance-y we can make these paintings. So I was painting like Yoda with like DJ headphones on and and like
iconic stuff,
a monkey in space and stuff like that. And it was a really fun thing. And I remember after the first one that I did like the Statue of Liberty because I thought that would be easy, and then I did Iron Man. And I remember I gave those paintings to one of the guys in the band, and I was like, man, thanks for having me. Like, I think this is going to be the start of something. Like, I forget what I worded. Beautiful, maybe?
Yeah.
And, I mean...
Here you are.
Here we are.
I mean, it really is incredible because, like, I know that you were just saying before, it's like, yeah, you didn't, like... We didn't just you weren't just born to be a speed painter. Like, that's not something that, like, you know, that's not a typical route. It's obviously something you're falling into, but I'm interested, like, how you got into art. Like, when, like, you said you've been doing it for a while, like, obviously from you being a young kid, you know, when does that first come into play? Like, just everyone else in school, you know, you're doing a couple art classes, things like that?
So, like, I'd actually recognized that I was understanding that what I was drawing didn't look like the real thing. So, like, when I was in, like, 2nd or 3rd grade and I would draw, like, hands, I would do the popcorn thing.
Yeah.
You know, just the squiggles for all the fingers, like, the loops.
Yeah.
And I, like, remember thinking at such a young age, like, maybe I was 6 or 7, I remember thinking, like, well, that's not what hands look like. Like, what a hand... And, like... Just to be aware of that at a young age, I think is when I first realized that, oh, maybe like my brain's a little
different.
Yeah, a little different. I'm not saying
that's interesting to think about that though, for sure, because like I remember drawing stuff whenever I was very young, and like I never like had any sort of like thought process of being like, you know, I remember thinking like, man, I want these to look like hands, but they definitely don't look like hands. I'm trying to make them look like hands, but they don't.
I think it's just an awareness.
Yeah,
like an awareness that like, this doesn't look like that. How do I make it look like that? And so I had that from a young age, and I think that propelled me to want to like do better.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that does make sense. So So before we even get into all this craziness, I have a treat. So are you lactose intolerant or anything like that?
No, I'm not.
No? Have you had this yet?
I haven't had that yet.
Do you know what this is?
Yeah, I've seen it on the social media.
Okay. Turner Dairy Farms, proud sponsors of the podcast. This isn't just a free ad. I've been looking for their chocolate milkshake collaboration with Page's Dairy. Page's Dairy in Southside. Iconic name. They collaborated with Turner's and they came up with the chocolate milkshake limited edition milk. I have not had it yet. I figured why not? I found it today and I was like, oh this would be cool to try on air. So I'm gonna pour some in a glass for both of us, and then we'll just give it an honest review.
Yeah. Where did you find it at?
I usually have like a plug right near next to my work.
Yeah.
I don't know how much milk you want right now with it.
No, that's great.
Yeah, it's great. I can't crush a lot of milk nowadays, but cheers.
Hey, cheers.
All right, let's see how it goes.
Dang.
It's everything you would want it to be.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
It is really good. You could taste that it's like, you know, it's thicker than a regular milk.
Yeah.
And it's just there. You know, it is. It tastes like a milkshake.
Yeah, it does.
Very, very great. Chocolate milkshake collaboration with Page's Dairy, out in any bodega that carries Turner's products now. Yeah, but
I honestly, that taste. So there was this Dairy Queen Blizzard that I used to get all the time. I had a girlfriend that worked at Dairy Queen. She would just load this thing up for me. This, it was called Double Fudge brownie or something like that.
You know, that was my choice.
Oh my gosh. It reminds me just like that.
Now they had something that was very similar to that at a local ice cream establishment where me and Vinny grew up. It's called Frosty Cone, but they had something called the Mon River Mud, which is it's too much chocolate for 99% of the world, but right in my wheelhouse.
Oh yeah.
But that was pretty equivalent to what the Dairy Queen job was. But so, did you grow up in Irwin?
I did, yeah. I went to, well, we called it on our side of the Route 30. It was North Huntington.
North Huntington.
Yeah.
So where'd you go to high school?
Norwin.
Oh, okay. Probably know some of my family.
Who's your family?
The Vascos, Josh Vasco.
I graduated with Josh.
Yeah.
We were good friends in high school. Yeah.
I bet.
I love Josh.
He's
the best.
I feel like everyone from high school knows who he was.
Oh, he was such a character.
It's interesting though. I figured everyone would know that. But so growing up, like what were you into besides for like art? Like what were you?
I mean, I played baseball and football in high school, and I played football in college. So I was a big sports guy.
You played football all through high school?
All throughout high school, all throughout college.
What position?
I was a quarterback and a linebacker.
Oh,
in
wow.
In high school, we had such a bad football team. Like when I mean that we were so bad,
yeah, I
mean that my last 2 years of high school, we won 2 games.
Dude, have you spoken to your studio mate?
Vinny?
Yeah. My senior year, me and him have spent a lot of time growing up together.
Yeah.
Started playing football very young together and came all the way through. We were on the front lines of being a shitty football team. My senior year, captain of the football team, not one game won.
Dude, I was the captain.
Not one
my
game won.
My senior year. And I had 2 wins, but the year before that, 0.
None. And it takes a certain type of person to just know that you're on a bad team.
Yeah.
That's why it's like Major League.
Uh-huh.
It's like, you're not doing that good.
Yeah.
You hope to do good, not doing that good.
This is how I know we were super bad. And as kids, you're like, we're really bad because of the coaches.
Yeah.
And then I realized that in my class, I'm the only one that played 4 years of college football.
Oh, yeah?
That's not good. And I wasn't good.
Yeah.
But
how big is Norwin's high school? How many people did you graduate with?
We're 6A, in the new
Holy
rankings
shit.
now. So we're Pine Richland, Pittsburgh Central Catholic.
How many people?
We're in there.
Did you graduate with?
I graduated with 550.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's double us.
Yeah.
It's insane. Crazy to think about that. Sports was a big thing in life though. Were you active in, the arts coming up as well?
No. Well, honestly, I was just, I was really interested in easy grades. And so I did all the art classes in high school, and I had an art teacher, Miss Satterfield, who was always very proud of me. And I think she was really disappointed that I wasn't going to go to school to pursue art.
What were you about to do?
I went to school to be a pastor.
Did you?
Yeah.
Where did you go to school for that?
Kentucky Christian University. They're also one of the only schools that would have me play football for them. So
they had a football team too. Yeah. Oh, wow. So religion, big part of your life growing up?
Definitely a big part of my life. Still a big part now.
Yeah, I didn't mean to say, I said growing up, but not.
No, yeah. I mean, I had a really great youth pastor, somebody that we wanted to be around.
Yeah.
When I was impressionable, and still now we talk back and forth about TV shows like I Think You Should Leave on Netflix.
Yeah.
Detroiters and stuff like that. So he was just a great guy. And there was a kid that was 2 or 3 years older than me, who lived at the end of my street, but he was the coolest kid in school. And I was like, I'll do whatever you do. So he would pick me up and we'd go to youth group together. And it was the coolest time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was definitely fun. It was just it was just some place to go and have fun. We had something of a youth group where we would go and do they had activity night stuff like that. And it was just an outlet to go do some extra stuff. That's interesting that, I talked to someone else who went to a youth group because he grew up in, Akron and kind of the bad part of Akron. And he was saying that the youth group was the place that had all the dope stuff that you would go to, and they would have all these programs, and they do all this good stuff for people in the community. And I feel like a majority of young kids was involved with it at one point, because I spent some years in one as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely something that like, formed, it definitely formed like some good habits and, just like not these planned things that we did. Like we always did like a mission trip or whatever, but we had a group of older guys that would like, we knew them, so we knew that they were like flawed people just like everybody, but like to go out of their way to like stop on the side of the road and hand that homeless person like $5, just like the little things of kindness, that's actually what stuck with me through it all. So like I had a bunch of really great older influences growing up in church, and so I think it's still a big part of my life, but I don't think I would work in a ministry again. I like the finger paint and stuff.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. So you went to school to be a pastor, and now where did that come from? Like to you wanting to do that? Like what age? Like you knew that from a young age you wanted to go to school for that?
I think because I saw these older people be a big influence in my life.
Yeah,
and guys like Jason Watson, Jeff Terpstra, who were Gary Wilson, big influences on my life. I thought I want to be that to other people, to the younger generation. And I pursued it and I loved it. I love theology.
Yeah.
Like I love it to this day. I'm a very knowledge-based person in that way. Like I love the history of it, the historicity of Bible stories. Just like, it's so fun to unravel like,
it definitely is.
Unravel, the most important book that's ever been created.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. Even as someone who I grew up Catholic, and I've since like kind of moved away from it. But it's interesting because I'm very open minded about everything. I really am. That's why I started this podcast, is to speak to people about everything, whether it be like the career or more heavy stuff like religion and I don't ever talk about politics because that's a dumpster fire. But silly to talk about it. But it's interesting to talk about religion too, because it's like so many people are it's a flip of a coin. But I still like the stories behind it all. Like I like that aspect of everything. It's pretty interesting. So when did you figure out that you didn't want to like keep on that journey?
Well, it got to a point where I was like making as much money painting as I was making at the Bible Chapel, which is where I worked after. Bible Chapel is actually not very far from here. And I think it got to a point I was like, I just really love to paint.
Yeah.
And there's so many people that are, that can like work with these kids and teach them and stuff, but there's not many people that can paint. And I still use it as like a ministry. Like I'm doing 2 churches this week for, it's Easter week. And so it's still a little bit of a ministry to me. But I mean, I'm kind of just pursuing this thing that I love. And, I've always loved to paint. I don't think that God's up there like, you're not following what I had you do. I don't believe that God works that way. So like, I think he's happy with what I'm.
With whatever you're happy with doing.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, when does like the whole, you said you always worked on art, but I mean, like what type of art did you do before like speed painting? Were you always just like a painter?
No, I actually was color pencils and graphite charcoal.
Oh,
like I was always pencils, and I would just like, do realism, just try to get as real as possible. And then I wanted to perform. And after college football ended, it like performing in front of these people, trying to like challenge myself to like not screw up this painting in front of everybody was like a way that I've sort of supplemented like the anxiousness that you would feel.
The adrenaline.
The adrenaline.
100%.
So it's a good like replacement without having to like beat your body up.
That's super interesting to think about that. It's like you have to like put the heat under yourself a little bit to try to, thrive in that. That fight or flight. That's pretty cool to hear. To hear the way that kind of build itself in your mind. What now? Before you're like doing these performances, are you? How do I say? I mean, obviously you're good at artwork now, but I mean, like back then, are you good where you're like selling pieces?
Yeah, like right now?
No.
Or
Like back then, like, you know.
Yeah. People were just having me come in for their weddings and different events like that. And there was a painting that I did in the summer of 2017 that was of Phil Kessel, and that like Mona Lisa. We called it the Pittsburgh Mona Lisa, but he took that weird headshot from the 2014 Sochi Olympics. It's like iconic Phil Kessel headshot, and I painted that, and I wanted to do that for Mikey and Big Bob, like because it was in the middle of their Stanley Cup run, and it like really took off.
Oh yeah,
on Twitter, yeah, because somebody reached out to me and was like, "Hey, we're friends with Phil's family. Can we give this painting to him?" And I was like, "I don't know if I necessarily believe you, but like, what am I going to do with this painting?" So I just like gave it to them to give to Phil. A couple months later, Penguins win the Stanley Cup, and then I get a picture of Phil when he has the cup, like for his day with the cup, and my painting.
No way.
Yeah, and NHL.com reaches out, NHL Network, the Pittsburgh Penguins reach out to have me like painting at games. Like it all kind of like
blew up real quick
in the summer of 2017.
Now I'm curious because, you know, before this, I'm trying to like, you know, kind of keep a timeline kind of cleared up a little bit. So whenever you first start doing artwork for money, it's not speed painting, is it?
It is.
Oh, it is?
It actually is.
Oh, okay.
So I graduate from Kentucky Christian University in 2017.
Yeah.
I start working at the Bible Chapel, and as like my first couple months at the Bible Chapel is like when things really started taking off for me alongside of working at the church. So it was it was weird. And in fact, I met with the pastor that I worked closest with at the church in Robinson. His name's Tom, and Tom was like, we knew that we had you like on borrowed time, that it was only a matter of time before you were
get
like,
out.
before you were just doing art full time. So everything sort of happened at the same time. As soon as I graduated college, it was like sort of a big launching pad.
And well, it's just interesting to me because it's like you said that you did graphite and stuff like that in the beginning, and you did realism. When does this switch happen? After you see the speed painter, like you said, you saw one perform. That's whenever your like shift kind of went from being, I'm going to do these like long form realism portraits to where these are like these short performances. That's where I'm trying to like figure out how you made that change.
So when I was in college and I was doing the performances with that band and stuff. Like,
oh yeah, the band, you did mention that.
It was never really like something where I was trying to do a painting in like 6 minutes. It's like they were playing
a set
and I was like vibing.
Yeah.
You know, I was just vibing with them. I probably look like such an idiot, but
like you're up there for an extended amount of time and whatever happens, right?
It's like they're up there for 50 minutes
yeah.
and I have 2 paintings to do.
Oh, that's cool then.
So it was like, and they were simple.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm starting out with the basics of the basics on the live painting thing. But I mean, so it was sort of like this thing that there wasn't too much pressure to perform. I was just up there kind of like doing my thing. And I knew because I had seen a speed painter before that what I think I was trying to go for was possible.
Oh, okay.
You know?
I get what you're saying.
So like it's so good that I've like seen somebody do it because it just didn't seem like an impossible task to me.
Yeah, to have someone want to watch you paint something on a canvas. Because I feel like, you know, I was trying to think of like the first type of speed paintings that I've ever seen, and I think they were like War Memorial. It was at like a War Memorial or something. It was just an all black canvas, and someone had this painting upside down and like did all this craziness and flipped the painting, and it was like a soldier silhouette with like a bunch of like marching soldiers, and I was like, he did it in like 8 minutes. Yeah. I'm just like, this is just wild. And I feel like that had to be like one of the first, you know, times I saw it like that, like just with your hands and you're just like going at it. But now you go on social media and you could see like a lot more of it, and you could see whatever you want. If you Google something, you're going to see, if I Google WWF wrestling, I'm going to see it all day.
Yeah.
Because it just populates in your news feed. But it's weird because last night I'm watching all your videos, and then today I'm getting way more art in my like explore
yeah.
pages. So I just see other like this dude's using pots and pans and like making like wild stuff. So it's cool to see how like people like kind of like figure out how to like monetize something in the way that, you know, kind of works with them. Like you said, you like performing and stuff like that. It's pretty cool to like be able to like see that that's a possibility.
Well, what's nice is that like I feel like in the age of social media, like since things have really blown up since high school and college, and since I've started painting, like I'm able to just like dream up like whatever.
Yeah, whatever you want.
I get to wake up and just paint whatever, which is always super nice. Like I'm definitely interested in like doing and pursuing building a one-man show that is good enough for people to want to like, you know, see me live.
Buy a ticket to.
Yeah, buy a ticket to. I don't know. Even just saying it right now at this stage in my process seems like a little pretentious, but like, you know, that's the thing I really want to build up to. I have so many great inspirations like David Garibaldi and Jared Emerson, who are like the two top speed painters like right now. And I think my artwork, because I'm so inspired by them, and honestly, there's not that many ways to like do a painting in 6 minutes. So
yeah.
Like, you could see that I'm definitely inspired by those guys, but I'm also inspired by, like, Bo Burnham and his last...
Inside.
Inside, man.
Just,
so
like,
good.
the most insane thing ever. I was never, like, a Bo Burnham guy.
Yeah.
And just because, like, you know, he was a goofy kid on a piano.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't really, like, speak to me. But watching that, like, in the pandemic, like, as I'm dealing with my own shit mentally, you know, it really was, like...
Did you cry?
Yeah, dude.
Oh, I cried.
Because, like, at the end, I was like, you know, you could see that dude just, like, you know, ending it. Because, like, at one point, it's like he has you up to that period where, or to that point where you're like, you know, this dude is really, like very, very, like, hurt. And he's, like, trying to, like, build himself back up. And it's crazy to, like, see that he was able... I'm fascinated by any sort of, like, you know, documentary style of film where, like, people are filming, like, they just have all this footage that they just can do shit with. Yeah. You know, like, for instance, like, the Kanye documentary. Like, I'm not a big Kanye guy, but I started watching this documentary, and just the fact that they have, like... the amount of footage that they do from like history is like so wild to me because, you know, I don't know. It's just crazy to like think that dude was just filming all this himself and like creating this one man show, but like he didn't know what it was. And he probably felt, you know, it would be pretentious saying it, you know, whenever he first said it, you know, but it's interesting how artists are always like, you know, at the end product, it sounds crazy in the beginning until you get to the end.
Well, believe it or not, Vinny actually had a really great piece of advice.
Believe it or not.
Believe it or not. I ran this idea by him one time, and it's one of those ideas where you know, the plan is to put it out to the public. And I said, is it pretentious of me to think that people are going to want to watch this? And he was like, yeah, dude, but like, you have to be pretentious to think that like people are going to watch it. And guess what? People watch stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like everybody who's putting things out, there's a little bit of pretentiousness to it.
100%.
Whether you're self-aware about it or not.
1,000,000%. I agree with that. Yeah. I think it's just interesting becoming like, you know, an adult and like just getting older because I don't know, I'm 31 right now. It's like, I have a completely different outlook on life than I did whenever I was like 26, than whenever I was 21. So it's so interesting to like see how I grow into myself as a man. And it's interesting to hear how people, you know, I only get like a couple hours with people, and it's hard for me to try to pull out, you know, people's life stories in 2 hours. I try to do it the best I can, but you could kind of hear how people's views of themselves change as we talk about, you know, your life or their life, so to speak. And it's always interesting to kind of hear how, like, because everyone we're talking to, or everyone I'm talking to, is telling me how they're getting to where they are now. And 99% of the people that are there are doing shit that they never expected to do.
Yeah.
So it's like a point in their life, they're on a path and they're like, do, like, we're just going to where we're going. And then it's just like a left turn into like, oh, I'm going to just like, you know, open this restaurant, some off a whim, off of just getting a random cooking job, and like, you know what I mean? Just random stuff.
Yeah. And, I was having this interesting conversation with a buddy of mine who was talking about, like, we were just talking about marriage and how, just like, how interesting is it that, like the person that he's married to now, and they've been together for about 8 or 9 years, but he's like, the person I'm married to now is not the person that I married.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the person I'm married to now is a kickboxing instructor who, when I met her, we were both like on the road together, traveling, touring together. So it's interesting.
Life is interesting.
It's interesting when you boil down to like, now my full-time job is a finger painting job.
Yeah. So like, how does this, like, what are your like data? Like, so I feel like now you're doing a lot of shows, you're doing a lot of performances. I feel like people are hiring you out. So your schedule is getting filled up by doing a lot of these, like, going to the Harlem Globetrotters and doing a show there. But before it got to this point, how does a speed painter artist build a book of work? It's like, are you cold calling people and being like, yo, let me do a show here?
Yeah. And It was so easy, like, in the beginning. I actually cold emailed so I saw on Twitter back in summer of 2017.
Yeah.
Best summer ever.
It's like a country song.
I saw that Josh Harrison was having a charity event thrown downtown Pittsburgh.
He's a baseball player?
He was for the Pirates for a few years.
Okay.
And, he was the most popular Pirate at the time since they traded Kutch. But I sent like a cold email to the ticketing office that it was like, hey, like, I do live paintings. Here's a couple things that I've done. Can I do a live painting there and you guys can auction it off? I'll do it for free. And they called me.
Oh, really?
In 10 minutes.
Really?
And they were like, hey, are you serious? Like, well, yeah, for sure. Yeah, you come on by. It was at like Eddie Merlot's.
Oh, wow.
Now I can see Eddie Merlot's from my studio window. And and they were also like, hey, Cam Hayward has an event in October. Do you want to do that? So like within a couple months, I was in front of every Pirate and nearly every Steeler.
Wow.
And things just started, and they just jump-started from there. So I did like a few individual pieces for Josh. I did a few pieces for Trevor Williams, who was a Pirate at the time. And, all my Pirates friends, I only have like 2 left because the team keeps cycling through.
Big
guys.
Turnover rate.
Big turnover, guys. I have to learn a whole new roster every year.
So it's just like kind of the right place, the right time.
It was so weird, man. And then it felt like the people that wanted to have me in, like, okay, now I'm doing all these like really big things right off the bat, and I don't have the skills to sort of back it up. So for a long time, I had this fake it till you make it.
That's what I was just going to ask.
Yeah.
I feel like you would have to, because I feel like, you have a big following on social media now. Before you had these like couple big first events, like, did you have a following at all?
I had a lot of friends. I just.
Let me rephrase this.
Yeah.
Because you obviously had a following, but I just randomly started seeing you be reposted by all these teams and by all these people, and you have pictures with all these football players and all these Pirates and all these Penguins, you with a picture of Crosby and all this stuff. And I was like, how is this happening? Because I feel like I do a good job of staying on top of the people in the city that are doing stuff. And I feel like that I just like didn't hear of you for a long time. And then all of a sudden I'm seeing all these crazy pictures. And it's just like, it kind of seems like it kind of makes sense now where you say like, oh yeah, I did a couple events, and then it kind of like stems from all that.
Yeah. And honestly, man, I'm really, really lucky. My friend Spencer, he told me, especially when things were going slow during like COVID, and COVID was a monster, but he told me it's all talent and patience.
Yeah.
Like if you have the talent, people find you. If you have the talent, people find you. So I kind of left it all up to working on my skills and working on my crafts, but also I had people that like wanted me to succeed.
Yeah.
And it was nothing that I had done for them that did that. Like I had guys like Jason Seidling who worked at the Penguins, who I worked for his dad in his dad's mechanic shop for a couple years, and his t-shirt shop in high school. he was the one that was like, hey, Penguins Foundation, you need to call this guy.
Yeah.
So I felt like I had a lot of people who like really rooted for me and really did a wonderful job of like putting me in front of eyes
And like lifting you up.
And I don't know what to even do or where to begin to even like repay those people.
Yeah, but that's awesome to hear from that. I mean, I feel like that speaks to who you are. You know, if you were a bad employee and that dude, you know, you didn't do a good job working for that guy, I'm sure he wouldn't be like, yo, Penguins Foundation, you know, you probably don't want to talk to this guy. But it's cool to have those opportunities because like whenever you're giving them opportunities while you're first starting out, it's like, it feels insane.
Yeah.
You know, like you feel like, I can't believe this is happening. Like,
right.
You know, whenever I interviewed Rick Seaback, like it was wild to me because it's like, you know, that was like the first, like Mikey and Big Bob was the first interview I've ever done. Like not ever, but like the first huge one where I was like, I felt like Eminem in 8 Mile. Like I was literally almost sick because I was just like, you know, this is it, you know, and I do this and it's just like, I'm just so thankful. It almost makes me emotional because it's like, you feel so thankful to just even have an opportunity like that.
Oh, yeah.
And it's cool that like, there's people that like want to get behind you and like rally behind you. And it's like, you know, I've been fortunate enough with the podcast, but it's just like crazy to think about it.
Dude, there's so many things that I like am so grateful for. And, you know, there's just a group of people that will always like get my undying thanks. And I mean, we're nothing without the people that like listen to the podcast or 100% buy the artwork or support from social media. Like we're just nothing without them. So
how do you practice? You know, you said you had to, you said that you weren't equipped with the right set of skills whenever you were getting hired by this. You know, how do you sharpen your sword, so to speak?
I'm making paintings every day.
And you're just anything.
Anything. So I was telling somebody just today that, you know, I only put about 4 paintings out on social media last week, but I probably did 16, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm always practicing. I'm always in the studio and I'm always looking for ways to get better. And even if it's just the mind, just like training my mind to be able to recognize certain things. And you really have to recognize like how faces work, how like bone structures work. And in case you like mentally lose your place, you can always just basically remind yourself like through your studying of just like the human anatomy, like where things are supposed to go, because sometimes you'll like have the image in your head and you're moving slowly and then all of a sudden you just hit this mental block and you have to go somewhere else on the canvas, and because you're working really fast and your mind's firing off. Like every time that I put paint on a canvas, there were probably 35 decisions made to do that one thing on the canvas. So like when you're performing and you're trying to do a painting in less than 8 to 10 minutes, like you're making 1,000 decisions in that time.
Yeah.
So it's so you kind of like, okay, I'm blocked here. I can't remember. So I go down and I'll work on like a shoulder or part of the jersey or whoever I'm painting. The easiest example I could give is the Dwayne Haskins video.
Yeah.
The painting that I made the other day.
It really was incredible.
Thank you.
Very terrible.
Very terrible. I mean, Dwayne was an amazing person, and I so desperately wanted to make like the most beautiful painting I could make. And I was mentally blocked maybe 10 times.
Oh, while making that.
Yeah, while making it. And I don't know why it was so difficult. And
how long did that take you?
So I did it on Instagram Live, and it was actually at the end of a stretch of events that I was like burnt out. I hadn't slept the night before because me and Vinny drove all the way from North Carolina back to Pittsburgh for an event in the morning and an event Saturday night, and then I did the painting Saturday night. But I wanted to not perform it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want it to be like high energy. I wanted to just like
be present,
have people join in and just watch. And I think the time lapse was 32 minutes.
I mean, it's still crazy because like it really, you know, really was an incredible picture. I'm now, you know, if you have all these, you're doing like, how big are your canvases?
Typically they're like 60 inches by 50 inches.
I mean, it's crazy. So I'm curious, like, where do you do with all your work? Like, do you keep these, or are you just like scrapping a lot of these?
The practice ones get painted over.
Yeah.
You know, the one that I have these canvases that are like an inch thick just because of how many times I've painted a layer on it.
Oh,
and,
I bet.
Some of them are hung up in a place called Unity Brewing out in Latrobe, brewery owned by some of my friends. And the rest are rolled up in the studio. So.
And you just like, you just have a tuck of like all these paintings that you're doing.
Yeah, I have like 4 Tom Brady paintings in there. I have like 3 Kenny Pickett paintings. I painted Ben Roethlisberger more times in the last 5 months than I had his entire career before he played his last home game,
So, like, do you paint? So, the reason you painted Ben Roethlisberger, are those just like practices, and then you only like put out one painting of like the good ones? Like, so I'm trying to like conceptualize how you're doing this. So, if you're doing a speed painting, will you just like mess up sometimes and have to restart it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh, yeah.
Am I naive to think that you were just like, he's just like ripping this, he's just ripping it in one shot?
First of all, thank you.
I swear to God, I think that.
But, I mean, there are videos where I stop and I paint the canvas black and I go at it again. And, I practice because there's like a lot of events like JDRF, Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, just had their event on Saturday. They wanted a Ben painting, and then a week before that, the American Heart Association Heartball wanted a Ben painting to do for their guests, and so like you know who's gonna be popular at the time, who the big money names are for these foundations and these auctions are. So you do that, and
that makes sense.
Yeah, I've painted Sidney Crosby more than I've painted
anyone,
any other painting combined.
Really?
I've painted. I tell him. Well, I've told him that before.
so I think it's crazy. I don't know why I was thinking like, he probably only did this once or twice, but
there are paintings like that.
I get that, but I mean, like, it just didn't come into my mind that like, there's all these ones that you're not putting on social media that are just like at different events that are getting auctioned off that are like pretty much the same thing. And I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like kind of dumb to even like not even, put that in my mind.
Oh no, man. I mean, they're like,
you're painting full time. How many days a week?
7.
7 days a week.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still at the point where I still feel like I'm really, really building up to something. So, I mean, there's not a lot of days off that I get. Now, there are these really heavy weeks where I'll travel a lot, and then I'll take a few days off after that. And I actually today's my first day back after 3 days off. So, there are these, but I paint like every single day.
Now, do you take on work of like long form pieces where, I assume that you doing a charcoal piece of like a portrait of someone is going to take many hours compared to, a speed painting type of thing?
More often than not now, I'm saying no to the long form stuff because I do really want to be known as a live performance painter.
Yeah.
So like, if I continue doing all these like, long form paintings,
you're cutting down time that you could be spending on other things.
Yeah. And also like the reason why I turned down so many cleats and so many like shoe orders and is simply for that reason. Like, I don't know if I want to be known as the cleat guy.
Is that how did you start off doing custom shoes?
No, that kind of came after. I mean, that kind of came alongside of like the other stuff. Like,
okay.
People see me do these canvas paintings, and I remember Josh Harrison was like, "Can you paint cleats?" And I should have said no.
But you said yeah.
But I was like, "Oh, yeah, dude, I could paint those cleats." And so I was using all the wrong paint. I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I learned how to do it from YouTube.
Yeah.
So.
What a blessing YouTube is.
I feel like you get a master's degree in nearly anything on YouTube.
It's insane to think about. I'm trying to become a better gardener, and it's like no matter what, in the pandemic, I became a master sourdough baker.
Really, I know so many people who've done that.
Yeah,
so many celebrities are doing that. Sam Raimi,
bro, I was super nice, nice, but it's a beast to do. It takes a long time, and it's just like I just am someone who likes to. I want to do it. myself. I want to
Yes.
try it myself. I want to do it myself. I love coffee. I want to roast it myself. I'm trying to I want to be as hands-on as I could be. That's why I do this podcast myself. I don't want other people involved with it because this is just me. If it fails, it's because of me. I don't have to bully people around and have people do things. I bully myself mentally. I beat myself down mentally and I make myself do it because I can't depend on no one else like I could depend on me.
Dude, that's the same. I'm the same exact way. In fact, I have all these projects that I want to work on, and there's specific people that I know that would be really good for it.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid that I won't be able to control everything.
You're a control freak?
I'm a control freak.
Yeah, it's hard to kind of give any sort of power away to anyone, and I struggle with that all the time. My wife talks about it with me. She's like, you should, take some of that money that you're getting and put it towards people doing the shit for you. And I'm just like, I don't want that because I don't feel like anyone is going to work harder for my things than I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The only thing that I'll put money towards is consulting.
Yeah, that's understandable because people that's they're professionals for that reason. But people could do this stuff that I'm doing. People can't paint. It's only you. If you're, no one else speed painting this. It's you.
Well, if I may say so myself, you are a great communicator. You're a great facilitator of conversation.
I appreciate that.
That's something that I've had to learn how to do in college, for being a youth pastor, and that's something that I feel like I can identify in certain people. You're very good at this too.
I appreciate it. Takes a long time to do. Everyone puts in their hours. You're putting in 10,000 on what you're doing. I'm putting in a lot on what I'm doing, and it's I'm getting better. I feel like honestly, episode 199. Whenever I interviewed Josh Getzoff, before I was so nervous about interviewing him. Absolutely sick about interviewing Josh Getzoff.
I have to text him back.
There's no you left him on red?
I have to text him back.
Rude.
I'm so Josh is a friend of mine.
He's a really great guy.
Yeah.
He is. He's fantastic. But I was sick about it, and I told my wife, and she's like, and she, I don't take criticism well. I do if it's someone random, but if it's someone close to me like her, it hits me. It's like a critical hit. So she was like, you need to let people talk. Because I get so excited, and it's like I have word vomit.
You're like a Bert Kreischer.
Dude,
No, I'm kidding.
I swear to God, that's really where I cut my teeth at. Bert Kreischer. Interviewed him in 2013. No big deal or nothing. But that's a hero of mine.
You did?
Yeah.
You interviewed Bert Kreischer?
Oh, yeah, at the Improv in Pittsburgh.
That's amazing.
Oh, yeah. He was the man. But that's literally why I became a podcaster. Bert Kreischer and Mark Maron. And Joe Rogan, but I don't even listen to his show anymore. But it's Mark Maron and Bert Kreischer is who I feel that I strive to be like. But it's I get so excited and I try to keep this conversation rolling. And my wife was like, you just need to chill out and not talk over people. And I swear to God, it took me 199 episodes to really listen to her and let it resonate because I actively feel that I'm kind of hitting my stride now where I am. But, it's just we're all just growing and trying to figure it out along the way.
My wife is also my wife and my manager, they're the most
critical.
There was a painting that I did of Sidney Crosby where Sarah, my wife, was like, you're not going to give that to somebody, are you? And I was like, oh,
just get a terrible feeling. What? What did you say?
It's yeah, I'm giving it to somebody. They're going to be here in 15 minutes. And she's like, no.
Oh my God.
Give that to somebody. And I genuinely was like, this isn't bad. This is good. This is a speed painting.
Yeah.
She's like, you should redo it. And so I redid it,
Oh, wow.
Because
you got to respect that though, right?
100%. Yeah, I definitely.
Because if your girl was like, that's fire, put it out. And then someone paid you that bread and then got it home and unrolled it. And they were like, he's drooping, his face is drooping.
Yeah.
They might feel some type of way. So you got to respect your woman for that. Cause
absolutely.
I respect my wife for being, she's straight shooter.
Yeah. And there are things that I have this thing that I know that I'm going for when I do a painting. So if somebody who, let's just say somebody off the street sees it, which I kind of attribute to my friends and and Sarah, like if somebody who's not me, who's not inside my head sees it and they have questions about it,
the untrained eye,
then I really focus on it because they're the ones that are enjoying or looking at it,
taking it
in. Yeah. And so they need to like it. It can't just be something that I like myself. It has to be them.
Well, it's interesting for you because you are doing a type of painting that, you know, you have a goal to meet, you know.
Yeah.
You could draw Sidney Crosby abstractly, but, you know, that's not what people want. People want to see the Penguin logo. People want to see his number. People want to see him. Yep. They want to be able to tell it. But there's some people that like, you know, just weird ass abstract art. So like, you know, it's interesting because I feel like you have a little bit harder of a job. You know, you gotta make it be able to be consumable by everyone, not just an artistic eye.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a little bit difficult.
Yeah, I mean,
you ever do projects where people are not happy with it?
Yeah. I've done projects where Sidney Crosby returned a painting to me.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he was so kind about it though. And listen, I don't hardly take any offense to anything like that because I am still learning and growing. I have no specific training on this.
I get it. You've been doing this for like what, 3 years? That's 3-4 years now?
Full time, 3 or 4 years.
That's crazy.
So I don't get offended by that stuff nearly as hard as I can offend myself.
Yeah.
So he said he didn't like the way his teeth had been sitting in the one picture. So I took that painting back and I completely redid it.
Yeah, the whole thing, not just the teeth.
The whole thing. Because he had it for a few months and then he brought it back and I'm like, well, I've worked for 3-4 more months now. Like this isn't up to my standard anymore. I'm better now. And like it's Sidney Crosby. He deserves the good, you know, the standard. He deserves the upgraded standard. So I redid the painting completely and I gave it back to him and he wrote me the nicest note. He was like, "Hey man, you didn't have to do all that." Like he was very
That's nice of him.
And thankful for it. Yeah.
That's nice of him for sure. That's I love a story like that because I feel like that, you know, if I would have asked you, you know, do people ever return anything? And you were like, no, everyone's pretty happy. But the fact that you were like, nope, Sidney Crosby returned a painting. I feel like that does so much by, you know, that just adds so much context to everything. And it just adds so much more color to the story. I love it.
It's so funny because I feel like the more we've talked about like the system that I've trained myself and taught myself to use and like what it's like to go up there and do a painting and how many times I messed up, like all the mystery of what I do is just going out the window because of this.
But I don't think people understand.
And I'm kidding, by the way. I don't.
No.
I'm an open book.
I get that, but I don't think people like, I think that you explaining what you're doing, you could explain it for an hour and a half. People ain't going to get it. You know, they're going to understand what you're saying, but me, you know, I understand what you're saying, but still, I can't believe you could do what you could do with it.
That's how I felt when I was in math class. I was like, I don't, you could explain this I'm just not going to get it. So I teach. Like, so I tell people that I'm so good at art is because I didn't fill my head with all that math in high school.
I don't blame you. Were you a good student?
I was a good student. But they were like, it is so hard for me to give any sort of like brain space to these things I don't care about.
Yeah, that you don't care at all about.
Like math, I did well enough for my parents to like not yell at me.
Yep.
You know, because they're both engineers.
Oh, so my
they're
goodness.
Like good at math. They do math all
so
day
easy.
Still.
So easy. My brother, electrical engineer, just like top of his class.
That's my dad.
Set me a bar that I could not. I'm overweight. I can't jump that high. He... you know, he was getting all these A's, you know, I'd get a C here and there. And my parents are like, what's happening? Like, this one was fine. This one's like a little bit not as sharp. And it's ridiculous. I always tell him he's an ass for doing that.
I remember like back in middle school, my dad was like, if you get straight A's this semester, I'll buy you the new Xbox 360.
Yeah.
So I just like went out and got straight A's and he's like, see?
Yeah.
You're capable of this.
I know.
And I'm like, yeah, but I don't wanna.
Yeah, it's like, you don't understand how much work this
Like,
took.
I'm just gonna finger paint.
Yeah.
You know?
What other types of art have you gravitated towards besides like, ones that you didn't like obviously focus on, but, did you like ceramics and stuff like that?
No.
No.
I have a deep appreciation for like sculpture and ceramics and like all that stuff, but it was never really something for me. I've recently gotten really into like shoes. I want to make my own shoes from scratch, cutting the leather, playing with different types of stitching and all that stuff. So that's something that I definitely want to try. And
Yeah.
I was on my way. I spent like $3,000 on equipment and leather and all this stuff, and I didn't have the time to like finish.
Oh, you bought all the stuff and
Bought all the stuff. So I'm ready. I'm ready for it. Now I just have to. I was actually going to make TJ Watt a pair of shoes for his Defensive Player of the Year award. They're going to be like some Jordan ones made out of some like gold leather, and I was just going to try to do them all up and document the process, but I just never got to it.
Yeah, you give him some shoes that fall apart whenever he walks up there.
Well, it's hard, I've started a pair, and it's a lot harder than.
Yeah, I bet it is.
looks.
What did you do? Just reverse engineer a pair?
Yeah.
Cut it down and then make all the pieces?
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
I can't say that I have not thought about it, because you see the shit on social media and you're like, man, this looks like you could do it. People make it seem like things are possible.
Do you know the shoe surgeon?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's crazy.
He is the man.
Yeah, he's the man. It's crazy to watch him like cut open like $100,000 like very rare, only 2 in the world Louis bags, and like sew them into like some craziness. Definitely some wild stuff.
Yeah, like OBJ's Super Bowl cleats.
Oh yeah,
Those were.
I saw those, and the most recent ones I saw were Fat Joe's. He had some like the camo ones. Those were sick.
Yeah.
It's I love sneakers. I was never a huge sneakerhead. I always had skate shoes. Like I always just bought skateboard shoes. Never ever was like a big Jordan guy. I have since grown to appreciate sneakers more, where I'll buy one here or there. I tried my hand at the reselling and all that, but it's just like it's hard for me to wear a $250 pair of shoes. You know what I mean? Like tennis shoes. Like I feel like that it's just like it's exhausting to think about not creasing them and stuff.
Do you know who Mosh is?
Nope.
Mosh, he does a bunch of the NFL guys' shoes. I'm wearing his shoes right now. I'll show you. These are Mosh runners. They're dirty.
He makes them?
These are his shoe.
Oh,
yeah. So
it's like a famous person.
I mean, he probably has 500,000 followers on Instagram. Like he's extremely talented. He's a custom shoe designer.
Wow.
But then he came out with his own shoes. So I mean, these are so comfortable.
Yeah.
And they're, these are the Tortugas. He's released like 5 or 6 pairs now, but they're pretty sweet. Like I have a huge appreciation for just like different types of creative stuff. So
Yeah. It really is like
other than Vinny stuff.
I could get into like pretty much anything, like that's why I talk to all these people. It's like I could really find an interest in, a lot of stuff. And I was looking for a cobbler, like an old school shoemaker. Whenever I lived over in Ingram, there was a shoe shop that had like these old ass steel boot, like looked like steel workers boots in there. And I wanted to hit that guy up, but it just like never opened again. I'm gonna have to find someone, but it's pretty wild to see all these like crafts, especially the ones that are like coming back in, like the Studebaker metals. I think that's their name, Studebaker Metals. They're a metal company that's from Pittsburgh that like makes this like jewelry and stuff like that.
Yeah, Wendell August does that too.
It's
up north.
It's just cool to see all that stuff. It makes me want to get involved with it a little bit more.
Yeah, and like you just appreciate the way people's brains work and how they're able to like deconstruct and reconstruct, like whether it's ideas or executing like a project or whatnot. So I'm definitely a big arts positive guy over here.
Big arts positive. Yeah. Now, how do you like kind of manage your nerves if you're like painting in front of all these like George Strait,
Yeah.
Like how do you manage your nerves in situations like this?
Dude, it's so easy.
Is it?
Yeah.
Do you kind of like slip into your own mind whenever you're like doing all these paintings?
I mean, I'm just staring at a canvas every single time.
Yeah.
So there comes a point where you're walking out and you have an arena of people, you know, like last weekend with the Harlem Globetrotters, and you walk out and there's all these people looking at you. But like once you start, it's just you and the canvas. Just like always, your back is turned to them and you're just staring at the canvas. Like there's always going to be that pressure, like, hey, there's people watching, but I mean, it melts away.
Yeah.
You know,
that's interesting.
So I think the pressure and the anxiety come from like how challenging of a painting it is and not how many people are watching you.
What do you think the hardest painting you've done is? Do you know offhand? Let me ask, hardest technically and then hardest situationally.
Sometimes it's very difficult to paint white people.
Is it? I guess so.
Because there's not as much of a contrast between the like the darker values and the lighter values.
That would make sense.
So like with Michael Jordan, like if I was painting Michael Jordan, you are using every shade from like the canvas starts out black, so like black, and you're building up to the whitest white of the highlight of where that is, and that's just white paint.
Yeah.
And you're able to really get the depth of a painting the more you use contrast.
Yeah.
But like sometimes it's really difficult to get that contrast when you paint like, you know, lighter skinned people. And that's just a genuine, that's not a joke, that's a genuine like.
Why do you always use a black background?
Because the shadows are already there.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow. That's interesting.
So if there's a white canvas, I'd have to paint black where the shadows are. And you know, I like the philosophy of painting the light out of the darkness.
Huh. Wow. That's pretty interesting to think about that.
Yeah.
I always wondered why you used black.
Yeah, and I mean, it's speed painting is a battle of negative space. It's like, how do you want to use the negative space in it? And that's how we're able to be faster, is because of the black canvases.
That's pretty fascinating. Definitely fascinating. What is like, you know, do you notice yourself being able to, you know, do things quicker? Like in the beginning, you know, did you time yourself whenever you first started like off on this venture? Like how long it took you to do, you know, a picture of Sidney Crosby compared to like, you know, did you know that you wanted to like get it down to a certain time frame? Like, did you have a goal of that in one point?
You're always trying to work within what the event or the host wants you to work into.
Yeah.
So, like, sometimes they don't want you to go as fast as possible.
How long was the Harlem Globetrotters thing?
10 minutes.
So they'll tell you ahead of time, you're going to have 10 minutes.
Well, they go, halftime's 10 minutes. So figure it out, you know?
But some places will be like, you know, you'll have 40 minutes for a show.
So, like, there's some of these events that I do where it's like passerbyers will just like walk in and out.
Like a wedding portrait, like Selena's wedding photo.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So like there's not a pressure to like speed paint because you're not going to catch people staying the whole time.
Yeah.
You're like, if I paint at the Penguin Games, I'm usually on the main concourse right by the Pittsburgh Penguins Foundation like auction. So it's people like just checking it out for a little bit. So like what I'll do is I'll kind of go fast at the beginning and try to knock all that stuff out. And then
add the detail in slowly.
Yeah, so people come up and talk to me. They'll hang out, and I definitely welcome that. I love that. I'm painting at tomorrow's game, so
nice.
People are gonna come. I've had people stand next to me and talk to me and put their beer in my paint cart.
No way,
because they're just there chilling. I'm like, hey man, it's cool that we're like so close now. But can you get that out of there, please?
That's funny. Now, what happens if you're at a live event? Did you ever mess up at a live event?
There are precautions that I take that typically if I mess up, I know where I'll mess up. And I'll bring black paint just in case I need to do that. Very rarely will I even leave for the event before I have it all figured out in my brain.
So you know.
I will not mess up.
Yeah. Wow. That's pretty crazy.
I'll mess up in the studio all day.
So you knew who you were going to paint for the Harlem Globetrotters.
Yeah.
Who was it?
Curly Neal.
So do you find a photo of him and then just do practice rounds of that?
Yeah. So they had sent like 3 or 4 pictures, and Harlem Globetrotters are very, they're very performative, and they do all this crazy stuff. The people they're extremely talented.
Yeah.
Curly was he was a ball handler. He was like a guard for them, and he was like probably the most famous Harlem Globetrotter of all time, other than like Wilt Chamberlain, who was there for like a year and a half. But my dad was like a big Curly Neal fan growing up, which was really interesting to me. He had passed away. Greensboro, North Carolina was his hometown. So when they were there, that's why they had me come down so they could honor him in front of his family and friends, because he actually died. I don't know if he died of COVID or whatnot, but they weren't able to honor him for 2 years.
Oh, he died a while ago.
Yeah, he died 2 years ago.
Jeez, that's crazy.
Yeah, so, it was really cool to be able to honor him like that. And so I actually took a picture of his face, him smiling, and then I brought in a picture of like his hand like spinning a ball on his finger.
Yeah.
So I took 2 separate pictures and I put them together just to like really fulfill that ambiance of like who he was.
Wow. Yeah. That's cool to hear about.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Dude, I get to do so many like memoriams and tributes and all that stuff, and like painting somebody's face, but not only painting their face, but trying to like express like the essence of who they were in a painting is such an intimate thing. And so like when something tragic happens, like Dwayne Haskins, or Curly Neal passes away, or Tunchilkin, like as an artist, it's not my job for others, but it's like for myself that I need to process certain things, and this is like, it's such an intimate way to do it. Like I feel like I need to work it out and experience it and in my body, like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I've done a couple of interviews since the Dwayne Haskins thing, and I literally have such a difficult time explaining why I need to do it, but I just like need to do it.
Yeah.
And I guess like with the Dwayne Haskins thing, I just wanted people to come alongside that, because it was a very intimate, like, it was a very intimate process that I needed to fulfill, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. It does. It makes sense. You put respect and honor and all the things that you do, and it's just a way for you to, honor that person. Yeah. That's you're using your craft to be able to honor that person in that way. And I respect that. It's cool to be able to offer something like that alongside the other memorials that people are, putting out into the world.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I've gotten so many nice things that, like, nice comments from people that makes it seem like they were able to come alongside me and just kind of, I don't know.
Appreciate that with you.
Yeah. Sorry, the words are...
That's all right. I get what you're saying. Like, you could tell you're trying to figure it out in your mind, how like you said, it's hard for you to convey what you're trying to express in that moment. Yeah. But I feel like you can kind of tell.
I'm a words guy. I'm not a visual guy. Or I'm sorry.
You're a visual guy.
Yeah.
Just strike that, reverse
further
it.
Proving my point.
So now for you to, you're a full-time artist now. People are hitting you up all the time. Got a manager that's trying to wrangle down your schedule. Like, what are some of your favorite types of pictures to do? Like what are your preferred? Like, if you could choose them.
That's a really good question. So, like, for myself, I like to challenge myself. So if it's a very intricate piece of art that, I need to replicate, then that's something for me that I really like to do. But I think performance-wise, what I want to give to people is, like, something colorful and something a lot of fun. So it's hard to, like, It can be sports related, it can be entertainment related, it could be Mickey Mouse, but I really like the ones where I'm able to be a little more abstract without losing the form of what I'm doing. So there's like a few that I've gotten nailed down pretty good. Like there's a Martin Luther King one that I can do upside down, and it could be very colorful and even a little bit abstract.
You'll paint it upside down?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's pretty wild. Is that wild to do? You probably got it down to a science now.
There's a little bit, there's definitely a science to it, but at the same time, like your brain might access your creativity better, excuse me, upside down, because when I look at you, I see eyes, nose, mouth, a big, beautiful beard.
Thank you.
If I flip a picture of you upside down, your brain goes from eyes to, it has a more difficult time recognizing eyes, nose, mouth, beard.
That makes sense.
And it'll pick up shapes and values. And
did you ever hear of an English class proofreading a paper by reading it in reverse? Read the sentences backwards, because you'll hear weirder things. Like they'll flow together.
Oh, yeah. I haven't heard that. But
it kind of reminds me of that.
That's probably 100% it, because like you sort of need to trick your brain to be able to
be more observant.
Yes.
It's kind of like lazy. If I'm looking at you right now, you know what's there, and it kind of just fills it in.
Like there's so many different noses in the world, so I don't want to like use what my brain thinks is a nose.
That's a good point.
I want to build the shadows and the shape of it without thinking about a nose.
It's very, very, very interesting to hear about your process and how you can kind of like convey that into words. Definitely wild. What is, like what kind of, do you have art in your house? No art in your house.
I actually do. I have, I think it's called like a deconstructed Homer. There's a Pittsburgh artist.
Yeah, Matt Gonda.
Yeah, I have one of those.
Okay.
A print. I don't have the original.
Yeah. Now, it's interesting because I'm always curious what type of art artists gravitate towards.
Yeah.
But, I feel like you could either answer two ways. You could either answer like you did, where you're like, no, I don't even have art in there. Or you could be like, I have more art than you could even imagine. Like my tattoo artist, very, very great artist. His walls are filled with everything.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. It's interesting to, like, where do you get inspiration from? I know you mentioned a couple speed painters, but I don't know. I don't know who they are. It's like, where do you get other inspiration from?
Definitely. I mean, music, comedians.
Yeah. Like who?
My favorite comedians?
Yeah.
Tom Segura.
Yeah.
Bert.
You're in that whole.
I'm a Two Bears, One Cave guy. Yeah, of course. Pete Holmes is another one, just to go on the spectrum. I've always really liked Bo Burnham, Mike Birbiglia.
Did you watch Pete Holmes' TV show?
Crashing?
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah. I read his book.
I did not read his book.
Comedy, Sex, God. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's interesting his life.
Yeah.
And like his whole life being, the way it panned out. I always love hearing that, because it's like Ari Shaffir.
Yeah.
Ari Shaffir was going to school to be a Hasidic Jew, to be a rabbi, and was just like, nah. And, now travels the world and does weird stuff.
Yeah.
And it's wild to think about that.
He has been, the latest podcasts I've heard him on, he's been telling everybody to do ayahuasca.
Oh yeah. He's a very big proponent of it.
Yeah, he had a spiritual experience, he said, and I mean, hey.
If you listen to any of them guys talk about it with any of them on any of the Rogan episodes or anything, it's like they all talk about it.
I know.
Now you could go on Netflix and, put on the Chelsea Handler show, and she's going to wherever and Peru and taking ayahuasca, and you could watch people do it. And it's just like crazy to see.
I feel like if I watched people do it, I'd be less interested in it.
Well, I think the worst part about it is, you drink this stuff and you piss and you vomit profusely.
Yeah.
And I just don't know if I could.
I'm not attracted to vomiting.
Yeah. Diarrhea and vomiting. I hate vomiting. That's why I never drank growing up. And
I break all the blood vessels in my face.
Oh yeah.
Like if I puke, I look like a different person.
Yeah. Like 28 Days Later type things.
Yeah. I'm a zombie after.
Are you a drinker?
Not Not really. And in fact, I had Hunter Homestek in the studio today.
I don't know who that is. I'm sorry.
That's okay. He's a general manager for 247 Fighting Championships.
Oh, yeah.
In Pittsburgh, the MMA place.
Yeah.
He had worked at DK Pittsburgh Sports, so he's kind of been he's been around Pittsburgh. He's a huge beer guy.
Yeah.
He has a connection with that Hampton beer store somewhere down. He had to explain to me like I was 5 some of these different beers that he brought into the studio at 10:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I'm just kind of getting into it now. I never, like I said, in high school, everything, probably been drunk twice in my life.
Yes.
But I've been getting into beer pretty heavy now because like we're kind of spoiled with Pittsburgh and like this crafts brewery scene.
He said the same thing. He said Pittsburgh is great.
Dude, there's a something called the Pittsburgh Brewers Guild that like was put into place to make Pittsburgh be a destination for craft beer. And it's like, I never drank, so I never showed it any care whatsoever. I never had any people on the podcast that were involved in the beer world because I just never gave a shit about it. But I never gave a shit about it because like I just never drank. But I have since been, pushing myself to drink, local beers just so I could understand it more and appreciate it more enough to be able to have all these great people on and talk to them about what they're doing, because I feel like I'm shooting myself in the foot, not taking, advantage of what we have in the city, and I know a lot of these people personally. So it just like, I didn't want to speak out of school. I hold a very, very high respect to anyone that I have on. And like, I want to be able to just like talk to them, be educated whenever I talk to them.
Yeah, sure.
And what they're doing. And I'm trying to educate myself in beer, trying to give myself a crash course. But Pittsburgh is definitely, a big deal.
That Unity Brewing.
Where your paintings are.
Where the paintings are. That actually, I heard about Unity Brewing when I was 19 at a church camp with the guy who owns Unity Brewing now.
Yeah.
When it was just a dream. He's like, well, you're passionate about art. That's amazing. He's like, I'm passionate about beer. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I was 19, so I had to be like, what's that?
Yeah.
And he was like, I love brewing it. Like in my home, I love like just the smell of it, like the process of it, like,
Dude, it's intimate. It's become so much more intimate whenever you could get your hands on it.
It's art. It's creative.
It is.
Like, whenever you put yourself into something like that,
you hold a different respect for it. You like hot sauce?
Love hot sauce.
I'll hook you up with some handmade by this boy right here.
Yes.
Grew the peppers myself.
Oh, yes.
But it's like, I look at this bottle and it's like, I make this in my kitchen and it's like, I got, sanitize the bottles, the whole 9. And I just like really have like a different respect for like, I'm trying to gain more respect for things by putting myself in different situations, like making hot sauce. Like I'm going to get some chickens here soon. And like, just, I want to like kind of integrate myself into being more in touch with things, kind of in that way.
I love that. Like you can get a McChicken sandwich from McDonald's.
100%.
That's obviously not art.
Yeah.
Well,
Some would argue.
Some would argue that for sure, but like, there's a difference between the McChicken sandwich that you get at McDonald's and what Troy Beck's doing at Given the Fly, in Federal Galley, like in his chicken sandwiches, because there's an art and there's like a creativeness and there's a testing of time. Like, there's just something artisanal about what he does that is obviously different than,
Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I get it.
Yeah.
I like I feel like that I love the artisanal aspect of anything really, like I usually try to keep anything I try to get local, whether it's designing, getting people to design stuff. I try to keep everything local. I try to shop local.
Yeah.
I just like to be able to be involved in that community to a different depth than just living in it. I want to put the money back into the community and like support these like, these hustlers that are out here like making some shit happen.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I love working with like some of these charities that I get to work with, and there's a bunch of great people in Pittsburgh, and so they use me to do a painting there, and then they'll auction it off for their charities and whatever. And I do, like, at this point, I've done hundreds of them in Pittsburgh. And each time I go and I do the painting there and they auction it off, but at the same time, like, that all happens for me. That's my part of it. Their part of it is explaining why they're here, why they need to raise money.
Yeah.
And it's this thing that, like, I don't know, it's hopeful. Like, I leave feeling hopeful in the world because there are good people trying to do really good things in Pittsburgh, and I get to experience it all the time.
And being part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. It is. It's fun to be able to. It's not even just fun, but it's powerful to be able to be involved.
And I know it kind of sounds like I'm, like, you know, like trying to, again, not great with words, but, like, I don't want it to be something where I'm, like, doing it for my own self-actualization, but it's like this thing that I just get to be a part of now for everything. And, you know, there's the stuff that I get to, like, take away from it is, it's so easy to go on Twitter or watch the news at night and, like, feel so sour about the world. But, like, man, these events and these people and sometimes these kids that are,
it's good energy.
It's such a great energy, man.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely sounds like, I mean, you're involved with a lot of cool stuff. It's interesting to be able to kind of become an artist, you know, kind of relatively recently, and just be able to turn it on full time and have a full book like that. And not to, like, take anything away from the work that you put in, but it's like it happened relatively quickly. Like, there's people that work, you know, 10, 15 years and don't have the success that they do, but it's cool because, you know, you could definitely see the talent, because I went pretty far back on all your social media. You know, I kind of siphon through everyone and kind of I vet everyone to make sure no one's a terrible person, but, like, you could see it. If you go from the beginning or the first painting and you scroll through it, it's like you could see the improving, you know, leaps and bounds. It's cool to see it.
It's so hard to look back even a year ago at some of the stuff I was doing.
Yeah, I mean, but I feel like every artist is like that. They're like, I hate that painting. And you're like, bro, like, I bought this off you for crazy. Like, this is the best ever. And
would you cringe if you listened to, like, episode 7?
Oh yeah, dude. But I also make it a point to leave all that shit out there.
Same.
You know, I've never deleted an old photo from whenever I started the podcast page. Every photo is there because I want that visual journey that people could see. Like, this period of my life, I had no idea what I was doing. There's just random shit everywhere. This period of my life, I thought it needed to be like this, and now it's what it is now. And, you know, I'm happy to where it is now. You know, it's a constant growth, obviously, but it's just, you know, it's important for people to see the before whenever you were stuck in the mud.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've actually started trying to gear my social media less towards, like, less towards getting more people to follow me and more giving back to the people that have supported me
from the beginning.
Yeah. And it was a conversation that I had with just a few other creative friends of mine that were like, yeah, but, like, is there value in a new follower more so than somebody who's not been able to maybe pay for you, but has always been there to be like, that's an amazing job, man. Really 100%. Good job. Like, it's all important, but I mean, I'm just so grateful that there's been people from the beginning.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of wild.
Oh yeah. It's wild to start anything and have people, you know, support you with it. You know, like to think about, for 2 years, I did this podcast with no listens, you know, very little listens. Each week, it was like my mother and like a couple of my friends and like a random person. And, you know, you see the numbers growing and like, you're like, oh shit, I just had Big Germ on. Didn't have a lot of listens on that one because no one knows who I am. And, you know, I had, you know how you were talking about before, it's like you were able to recognize the type of art you were doing back then whenever you were very young.
Yeah.
Like whenever I was never able to like recognize things in my early 20s. You know, I didn't realize, I just did shit as a surface decision. Nothing was made from depth. You know, I didn't analyze things. I just did it. It was just a whim. But, you know, what I do now with this is, you know, like I analyze what I do now, and I'm so like, I'm not as quick to just like pull the trigger on things. I just like take time and like I'm better at making decisions. I'm better at like, where I want to go, what I want to do with what I'm doing with the podcast. But it's like I had to get through them 2 years of me just kind of figuring shit out.
Yeah.
And like, it's easy to quit your stuff, whatever you're putting in all this work with like these big name people, and you're like, oh man, this is going to be it. People are going to listen. And you're like, no one listens. But then like, I just knew that if I was going to keep at it, eventually people were going to listen. And it's just like, that's like the first moment where I was like, actively like in my mind, I knew that I was going to be, I'm going to keep at this. Doesn't matter what's happening. It's going to happen whenever it happens. If that makes sense at all.
It absolutely makes sense, because I think especially even the way social media is designed right now, just the social media aspect of everything, the algorithm accepts you more. We talk about the algorithms like they're gods.
It's true though.
But like they accept consistency more so than anything.
Yeah.
Like
they want a safe, consistent user.
Yes. And Ryan Peters from Peters Pasta.
Yeah.
Has 3 million followers on TikTok.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's your secret, man? Because you're great at what you do, but like your videos, you're just pouring eggs into a bowl.
Oh, yeah.
You're entertaining, and I will watch that as like my ASMR trip for forever.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure that it doesn't sound like I'm knocking Ryan, because I'm absolutely not. I didn't want to make it seem like all he's doing is pouring eggs into a bowl.
No, the dude obviously knows what he does.
Yeah, but I was like, what's the trick here, man? Like, how did you just blow up one day? He's like, consistency. Like, I'm posting 1 to 2 times every single day.
Yeah, I mean,
and that can be overwhelming and a little bit difficult, but I feel like anytime that you just go, this is my thing, I'm going to do this every day or every other day.
Yeah, consistency is key. Everyone in the world has said it. Whether it's fitness, whether it's, a business, anything, consistency is key. I'm curious about you, though. Are you someone who is, are you a social media person? Do you like social media? Are you someone that, hates it? Do you hate having it? Because there's people that are just like, that don't like having it, that feel like it's a burden to have, but you have to have it if you have a business.
Yeah. And I don't use social media in a personal way at all. So, and I don't post my kids on social media. I don't post my wife very much on social media. I use it strictly for the art.
Yeah.
And
do you find yourself on there a lot, like scrolling?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm so addicted. But I try to use mine in positive ways. So like for me in the business, like I'm trying to figure out like I'm constantly in my mind doing market research for everything. Like what's popular right now, who's performing best, why did this video do better?
Yeah.
Because there comes a point where if social media can start making you money, then it has to be the natural thing is to like, okay, how do I put myself in a position to do that? So I'm constantly trying to study others who are doing a really, really nice job. And I actually, for a while, I saw this TikTok hack where people were setting their phones to like a grayscale, and they're watching their total screen time go down maybe by 50 or 60% because the colors, the things that trap your eyes to want to be looking at your phone, like you don't have that when you're not addicted to the colors. So I started doing that, and I mean, I'm not doing it now, but I watched my screen time go down big time. Yeah,
it's a very, very big struggle with me to like. I'm getting better at it because.
Do you like it?
I start to hate social media more than anything. If I didn't have the podcast, I would be off of it. I used to be someone who would be posting on like, even whenever I didn't have a business, a podcast, I would just be posting dumbass shit, just like dumb stuff, dude, dumb memes, everything for no reason. But now I don't ever post shit. Yeah. I would want to be gone, but you cannot have a business without having, right? Because that's what I do. Like if I hear about who you are, I immediately go to Instagram.
But it's also like now there's so many platforms that demand your attention at all times. Like I was watching the Penguin game last night, and the NHL logo was there, and all the apps where you could follow the NHL were under it. And it's like 7 or 8 apps.
Yeah,
it was like
it's weird to think about that.
It used to be just Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and now it's TikTok and YouTube and LinkedIn and like all these different crazy things.
I literally don't care about anything but Instagram. You know, that's the only social media that I hold that holds any sort of weight. I'm not on Twitter. I hate, and the algorithm god is why I hate social media now, because it's just like I'll scroll on Twitter once in the morning, and then like at lunch, if I scroll on again, it's literally the same things. And it's just like, why am I even looking at this? Yeah. So I find myself getting frustrated because there'll be a time where I'll watch people writing graffiti for literally an hour and a half before bed. I'll be like, I'm going to bed early, you know, and I'm scrolling on Instagram.
But aren't those people amazing?
It's literally amazing, but it's like, you know, I feel duped. You know what I mean? Like I feel duped. Like I feel like that someone has a hook into my brain,
right? And
they're just holding me on that screen, and I don't want to feel like that. And I try to not.
I'll show you how to grayscale your phone. It'll change your life.
I swear to God, I'll do it, because that shit is not,
it's unhealthy.
It is. It's very unhealthy. And like, as like, you know, we're getting into like, you know, the future, it's like, there's more studies on the phone. It's like, it really is causing like the downfall of society, and it's pretty crazy, but it's also, it's a double-edged sword, because you need it. You know, it's the most powerful tool you could have.
Yeah. I mean, social media is going to be the death of America, but make sure you follow me on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, and
get them likes up, son.
Yeah, smash that subscribe button.
Yeah, smash that button, son. It's weird. It's like, you know, I had a period of time where I'm doing this podcast and no one's listening them a couple years. I'm like, why am I just talking? People don't want to listen to me talk.
Yeah,
and then, you know, I start to get people that are like listening, that are random dudes in like North Dakota who are like, listen every week. And you're like, that's insane to me.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
Gotta feel amazing.
It feels amazing. It feels amazing whenever, like, you know, I had that 200 party, you know, someone random rolled up, you know, a random person, they were like, been listening for like 3 years, saw someone wearing a t-shirt at Kennywood, started listening from back then. And this girl rolled up by herself with no one else. Shout out to her. Amazing. She knows who she is. And she was just like, yeah, like, I'm just a fan of it. I listened to it and just came down to the party. And I'm like, this is insane to me.
But you'll also never forget that person.
Oh yeah. Emily.
Because like, those people are just unforgettable.
You do. It almost makes me emotional.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what really sticks with you. Or those somebody will come up to me and be like, I follow you on Twitter, and I'm like, nah.
Yeah, it's sick.
Really? Like,
it's just cool to like,
I love all your stuff. Like,
it's cool. It's cool to hear some sort of like validation, even though if you're not in it for validation, you know, I cringe whenever people are asking me, like, if my family brings up the podcast to me at like a family dinner, like Easter, I'm going to be with my family.
Yeah. I
know people are going to be asking me about it. What was Sally Wiggin like? I'm going to be talking about it, but like, it makes me cringe because like, I don't ever want to be that person that's like, yo, dude, follow the podcast.
It's
like,
so hard.
It's hard. Talk about your craft.
It's so hard to talk about with like my friends and family, especially like those friends that I have in high school or in college. And it doesn't feel that like we've been apart for that long, but like, you know, I've been lucky to have some certain things happen and meet certain people that it's like, it's so hard to talk about my experiences with these really great people and not feel like I'm, you know, being pretentious or being full of myself or bragging. It's so hard to talk about because, and at the end of the day, I don't necessarily think I'm giving them what they want either, because I think they just want this like, oh my gosh, it was crazy. And then what I've been telling people is like, at the end of every single event or every single like meetup with whatever athlete to give them a piece of art, like, you're back in your truck.
Yeah. You're a human being.
Like
yeah,
you're just
home.
back in your car at the end of everything. And
It's cool though.
Dude, it's so cool.
People want to live vicariously through you to an extent.
Yeah. And I have to tell them, like, listen, every moment is so fleeting. Like, I remember, so I did that Pitt halftime show with Duke and for Coach K and Coach Capel. And, like, I did the painting and it was done. And they said they were going to take it up to this room. And they said, hey, thank you so much for, like, being a part of it. And, like, I was off court and in my truck in, like, 8 minutes. And me and Vinny are just sitting there, like...
That was it.
Do you want to go back to the studio and work on those shoes for tomorrow? And it's so weird. It's like the moments are fleeting. And I think I've learned to like fall in love with like my work so much more. Like I'm not doing anything other than trying to create the best stuff possible. That's like where the fulfilling stuff is. I've never done an event or met a person that I'm like, whoa, this is like
starstruck.
The last person I got starstruck was Lemieux.
Yeah, I mean
but he might be the only person. Everybody is so normal. Like,
I bet that's what it is. Everyone thinks that these people are all just different people.
We're closer to them than you think. Like everybody has that one talent that makes them a celebrity. You know what I mean? Or you know, have a higher status, but like they are so normal. Like everybody's so normal. There's only one person I met that exudes like a big personality, and that's AB. But even AB was so nice to me.
Yeah,
you know,
that's cool.
Yeah, he was so nice. I mean, he talked to me about art for like 30 minutes, and you know when that was? That was week 16 of the last season he was in Pitt.
Right before he left.
Yeah.
Wow.
The next week he like no-showed the game.
Wow.
And it was kind of weird, but we stayed in touch for like a year after that.
That's dope.
Yeah, and
now you're to a point where like your social media is built up now. I feel like once you get to a certain level of your social media getting to like, you know, 10,000 above 15,000, people start to like, you know, pay attention a little bit more. So if you want to give an art piece to someone like Tom Brady, I assume Tom Brady never hit you up to say, yo, do an art piece. Maybe I'm wrong, but
I told him I'm really busy right now.
I'm busy right now, dude. Back up. But if you wanted to do a piece for him and like you wanted to give it to him, it's like, you know, are you to the point now where like you just pick people that you want to create stuff for and just like push it out, you know? Because like not even just in a way to promote yourself, but it's like these are people that you look up to. Yeah. You know, like I have comedians that I look up to, and I'm not just like, if I was an artist, I wouldn't just be like, oh, let me just give you this art in hopes that all these people just like promote my stuff. It's just like, you know, you want to immortalize them in a piece. You get what I'm saying?
I don't hardly do that anymore.
No,
I don't reach out. You know, I haven't reached out to an athlete in a long time to do that for like me just wanting to do that for them. So yeah. I have two friends that I'm actually going to reach out to because I want to try something different.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, if you know, I have a style that I want to try. I want to try it with like an athlete. Will you like be the guy? You know?
Yeah.
And he'll like those two are Kevin Newman on the Pirates and Brian Dumoulin. And I just have something new that I'm going to try to work on. And that's really the only reason I would reach out to
reach out to people.
Yeah. And because I think like now that those longer form paintings, I don't do them as often. It's not where I make. In fact, like I make more money doing the speed painting.
Obviously.
Like one speed painting than
8 minutes compared to hours and hours of a portrait.
Yeah.
I feel like that's obvious.
So I, you know, it's only because I want to expand my own art portfolio and in that way that I would reach out to an athlete if they're not reaching out to me first.
Is it weird that you had just, you know, you have a phone book of people that are hitting you up sometimes for pieces?
I would never want to lose my phone. I would never want to lose my phone. But I mean, after a while, like, you know, I've been fortunate enough to meet people, you know,
Yeah.
and I mean, if I told you how normal everybody was,
Oh, I text Sally all the time. Sally
Yeah.
Wiggin. It's weird to think that me and her just text.
yeah, like,
Obviously, that's not Sidney Crosby or nothing, but
well, I don't want people to think that, like, I don't want people to be bored because I don't want to have to tell them that, like, hey, yeah, like, I mean, he listens to Rascal Flatts and, like, you know, like,
he listens to Rascal
he's
Flatts.
so normal that
That's
I
cool.
think it would bore you.
Yeah.
Not him personally, but, like, I don't have anything special to say, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, that's cool though.
Yeah.
It's cool to hear that rather than, you know, if there's no news is good news, basically.
But also, I think it helps me, like, go, like, these guys aren't gods, obviously, but we treat them like gods on social media with the way that we attack them for not having a great game or wanting them to lose their job when they have, like,
Insane.
you know, it's so weird. I had a guy one time, I was doing a mural for him, and he was like, I saw on Instagram that you were with Terrell Edmonds. I was like, oh yeah, we're friends. Terrell's a great guy, you know. I think he's a year younger than me, and we get along really well. And he's like, yeah, you know, I mean, I just wish you didn't suck at football. And I was like, dude, I just told you we were friends. Like, why would you say that? Did you think I was lying?
Yeah.
Like,
Do you ever get hate on social media? Like on you?
yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often. I don't think anybody really cares too much, but sometimes people
There's always
care.
some people that are just
Yeah.
that have time to just
Somebody made an account to, like, say something bad about something I partnered with the Penguins on. It was their only tweet. They created it that day.
I wish I had the time. I wish
Oh.
I had the time for stuff
Dude,
like
this
that.
is great. I performed at that Pitt halftime show with Duke,
Yeah.
and after the game, like 6 people sent me this tweet from a parody account that you know, was a Pitt centered account, and it was like, I don't understand why Pitt keeps hiring this guy to. He's a Penn State fan, and we keep hiring him. He's talked crap on Pitt before, and we keep hiring him. Like, I forget how it was worded.
That's the best though.
Vinny found it. He read it to me, and it
That's
was like,
hilarious.
It was so funny, and people were like, "Really?
Yeah.
You did?" And I'm telling you, they had screenshots from 2013
Oh yeah.
and 14. This is before I was even painting.
Yeah.
And I was playing football at Kentucky Christian University, and my parents both went to Penn State, so I, like, grew up a Penn State fan.
That's fair.
And I mean, the tweets were like,
That's funny though.
I mean, it's just me drawing back with, like, family members, and, like, I said something, like, about attendance one day, like, just the typical, like,
Yeah.
Pitt, Penn State going back and forth. But when I interned in college at Pitt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was a campus pastor. And so, like, I mean, here's the thing. I went to Kentucky Christian University to play football. I didn't go to Penn State.
Yeah.
And I didn't go to Pitt.
Yeah.
And I don't care.
You're a neutral party.
It's not even that I'm neutral. I think that, like,
It's a moot point.
well, first of all, also, I think I was really born after the rivalry, because I think they stopped playing each other in, like, 2000. So, I mean, I was 5. I didn't get to experience a Pitt-Penn State rivalry. They just never played each other until, like, 2016. And then, like, it's always also just fun to, like, mess with your family members. Like, I have cousins who are diehard Pitt fans.
Oh yeah.
But now, I mean, I really like everything. And for them to have found those tweets and screenshot them, I was kind of bummed that, like, there are people in Pittsburgh that didn't like me, you know? And I was bummed because I was like, but, like, you guys have done, like, so much for me that I don't want anybody in this town to, like, dislike me. I don't know. There will always be that people.
Oh yeah.
Turns out, so I get a text, like, like 3 days later from somebody who works at Pitt. And they're like, I see you getting some Pitt hate. And this is a guy that I've known for a while now. And he was like, I know who runs that parody account.
Oh my.
And it's another artist in Pittsburgh.
Oh wow.
Who, like, back in the day reached out to me for help.
Reach out to you.
Yeah. And I helped him. And it was like
salty.
Honestly, dude, it made me feel so much better.
Yeah.
That like it didn't come out of a place to like hurt me personally.
Yeah.
Like I think
people are having problems with themselves.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, and it made me feel so much better.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like, like I said before, we talk, I only have a certain amount of time to like pull, the way people are, through a conversation, but I could definitely feel like I could tell who you are as a person. Like, I feel like you don't mean well. I feel like that you're just like kind of here to just do what you want to do. And you're just, trying to enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
And, enjoying the success along the way. I mean, like you're fortunate enough to have like, a consistent work schedule, and like that's awesome for you. I mean, it's awesome to be able to, I root for anyone that falls into a career path where they could wake up in the morning and not be, unhappy.
Yeah. And to be honest, this is probably like the first year where I'm like content with just the cycle of things, because I mean, COVID was really hard. There were no live events, you know what I mean? So we had to really scratch and claw and do what we needed to do during that time. And 2021 was tough because you were half still in that, like, but now, I mean,
full tilt.
Yeah, I'm grateful. Like right now, everything has been so wonderful, and I'm so grateful. And, I feel like so in touch with everybody in Pittsburgh, and I genuinely think I couldn't do this in any other city. Like, because
you build a legacy here.
Yeah, because of like, people's love for Pittsburgh sports and stuff, and I got my start doing like the Pittsburgh sports stuff. Like, there's no way I would have gotten this support from any other town.
It's unique here because it's just big enough to have that passionate, brotherhood and like that nostalgic like bond, but it's small enough to be able to be intimate, and people are able to know each other. Pittsburgh is not big, it's everyone really knows each other. It's weird. He went to school with my cousin. It's just it goes to show you. It just goes to show you. What are your goals? I mean, your goals are to be perfecting, your craft and getting better at painting. But, what are your long-term goals? Do you have any right now, or are you just enjoying it?
I would like to create a one-man show to take to theaters and stuff. Yeah,
that's like a big focus that you want to work on?
Yeah, I think if I could figure out how to take the speed painting to the next level, but to also sustain like a show where people could be interested for, 120 minutes, probably less. Like,
you need to be like a stand-up show.
That's how I really have been looking at it. And I'm taking elements from guys like Bo Burnham, so I don't have a musical element, but the way he travels around different stations on stage and how he incorporates different bits and stuff, like, but also the depth of
what he's saying,
his message, like the parts that are serious. I was really inspired by Derek Delgadio's In and of Itself, which
I don't know who that is.
It's on Hulu. Derek's career is now, I think, about ready to really take off.
Was he a comedian?
He is not a comedian. He is an illusionist.
Oh.
And I actually heard about it from Tom Segura. Not personally, but listening to his podcast.
Yeah.
But so I watched it. Dude, it was so moving. It was so amazing. It was
Derek Delgadio.
I'll text it to you. It's on Hulu.
Yeah, I would like to know what it is.
I sent it to a couple of my friends, and they called me real late one night, crying. Him and his.
I love it. I love crying. I watch anything that's moving. Me and my wife are in the thick of American Idol right now.
Yeah,
and I find myself becoming emotional every time I watch people sing
Yeah,
a song.
man.
It's like, it's weird because like it just washes over me.
Yes.
And it's very weird because it's like I could feel that. It don't matter what it is. You know, people playing. I went to a live show. When was that? Like probably like a month ago, and it was just like, I don't know, dude, just like energy of it. I'm a big energy guy. It just is like, I don't know, it's moving. It's very moving.
It's definitely something that I want to do. I'd like to develop something that's feasible on YouTube. I know, I'm really inspired by this, so I don't know what's going to come from this, but I am inspired by people knowing their favorite athletes as more than just an athlete.
Yeah.
So I feel like if there was a way to paint them while we had a conversation just about life, just painting who I see them as we're having this conversation about their life, if there was a way to capture that and put it out for people to see where we don't talk about sports and just to see where that goes. And I feel like I have a pretty decent contact list that I think of people that I think would be.
It sounds like you have your idea right there. It sounds very easy for you to do.
I mean, it's definitely something I'm interested in. And you know, this idea has been tested by a dozen people. Half were like, yeah, you should do that. And the other half were like, do you think that you can hold a conversation with somebody like that?
That's a thing is being able to talk through a coherent conversation while you're trying to keep the place in your mind of painting.
And I told him, I was like, well, I mean,
Bob Ross does it.
I went to school to be a pastor, you know, so I know how to speak decently when I prepare a little bit.
Yeah.
But like also, that's all me and Vinny do when we're in the studios. We just like talk while we work, and the conversations that we've had, we've gotten so deep a few times. Like,
it's different though. It's not the same thing because
there's a comfortability.
As an interviewer, you two already have a more comfortable demeanor about each other. You know, obviously you met Sidney Crosby, people like this, you know, numerous times. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, your comfortability is not the same. So, and it's not about your comfortability. It's also their comfortability because, you know, that's the hardest part about being an interviewer is being able to, it's like boxing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It really is because if I try to, it's a mental game because if I try to go down one route, I have to feel people out, see if it's kind of going that way. You know, I get all these different people that I have to talk to and be able to like navigate a conversation with.
Yeah.
Weird people that like are not usually ones to be talking, you know, people that have never done anything like this to people that are just like made for this, you know, comedians and shit like that.
Yeah.
So it's not just your comfortability, it's also the comfortability of other people. It's like for instance, like Sally, whenever she came in here, like as we were emailing, you know, everything was great. Everything seemed great, but I thought she wasn't going to do the interview whenever she got here because she was very skeptical about it. And like, there was no comfortability on their end. Yeah. I was comfortable, but her comfortability, you know, people just don't know what to expect. Yeah. So until you have that product that people could look at, like whenever you're cold emailing the Pirates and shit like that, and you're like, check out these couple things that I've done, you know, once you're able to develop a quality product that you could showcase and kind of tell people what they're doing. Like whenever I started this, it was very bizarre for me to be able to be like, I want you to just come here and talk to me for 2 hours about beekeeping.
Yeah.
And just like, that's literally what I would say to people. I wouldn't give them questions, nothing.
Right.
And people would come in and be like, what are we even like talking about? Like you want to talk for 2 hours? And I'm like, bro, just have faith in me because like, you know, you have to be able to have that comfortability but if you're already there, that's the thing. That's why I feel like you need to pursue it because it's like, you already have, you know, you're already initiating that. You already know people enough to be able to like have that FaceTime with them that you got to just like, you know, they're going to be more comfortable with you than they would with me or something like that.
Yeah. And I think I like where I'm at right now with the speed painting thing, and so this to me is something that might not be developed for like two or 3 years,
and that's fine. But that's a cool, it's cool to be able to have that in your sights, and be able to, that's a seed.
Yeah.
You planted a seed, whether it's going to change into something else, it could change into something else, but it's cool to have those like gears turning, and kind of thinking of different ways to,
What I'm really interested in is how does the conversation that we're having change the portrait as far as colors, temperature, values, like.
It's going to have to do with the depth that you could reach with people. If you're talking to people who have had struggles, people that have dealt with sicknesses and loss, I would imagine, you would be more colder colors. But if you have people that are having this like, very like joyous type of story that like is out there and, I feel like that's how it could manipulate the color scheme of things. That's how people can convey their story to you and how well you could dig it out of people. Yeah.
And that to me is really exciting. I don't know. There was something about that idea that's like stuck in my head for like 6 months or so at this point. And I call those things like the tattoo rule. It's aren't you supposed to put like the picture of the tattoo that you want as your phone screen?
1,000,000%
for 6 months. And
that's why I don't have any sleeves yet.
I don't have tattoos either. I've given tattoos. I don't have any tattoos.
I have a bunch of tattoos, but I just don't have any. My tattoos are just like, they're hidden, thigh tattoos, whole leg tattoos, shit like that. But sleeves, it's like things that I think of. My mind keeps changing all the time. I feel like my legs are a little bit less pressure. I wear pants all the time.
My buddy JJ, who's, he's in AAA right now with the Astros. He got a bicep tat in high school, and
probably terrible, huh?
They misspelled achieve. They put achieve.
No regrets.
No regrets.
Yeah.
So
that's hilarious.
We put it on T-shirts and stuff. I think. It was so funny, and now he's gonna be making like millions of dollars next year. So
a kid,
I'm sure he could get it fixed.
A kid from EF, he got one. I believe it said heroes get remembered, legends never die, but he had it HEROS rather than HEROES. And HEROS is actually a sandwich, hero, like a sandwich.
Yeah.
And that was always a joke. It was real funny. But yeah, man, tattoos, wild. Very interesting.
I don't have it. People ask me to design them tattoos all the time. And sometimes I purposely struggle.
Just so
they're
like, no, don't worry about it.
Oh yeah, don't worry about it, man.
Okay, so I feel like that we need to get to the ending segment because I feel like we could sit here and talk.
I could sit. We could make this a 10-hour podcast if you want.
We'll do a part 2. Okay, ending segment is an ending segment called Desert Island Questions.
Okay.
So, desert island questions, whenever I give each guest 3 categories to take with them on a desert island to exhaust until they starve to death and die, and pass on to a different life. First category, 3 movies to watch with you on a desert island.
3 movies to watch on a desert island. Okay.
Over and over and over again for the rest of your life.
Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Amazing.
Movie.
It's an amazing movie.
Miracle on Ice.
About
the 1980s. Olympics hockey team.
Is it just called Miracle?
Miracle, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, Miracle on Ice.
I think the game is referred to as the Miracle on Ice.
That's fair.
Miracle.
What an amazing, it's amazing.
Kurt Russell is amazing.
Kurt Russell, can't beat it.
Yeah. So those 2 for sure I really, really love. And then maybe like Spider-Man 2. Yeah.
Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, the one with Doc Ock.
Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah.
That's not the one where he's like all emo and like dancing.
That's
okay.
3.
I'll be honest. I am not a Marvel guy. I watched those 1 and 2 and 3, and then I watched like Iron Man 1 and 2, and I've never seen another Marvel movie after that.
Yeah.
And people are blown away by it, but I feel like that Tobey Maguire was an epic Spider-Man.
You know what? Honestly, they're all really good.
They are good. People hate on Tobey Maguire, and they shouldn't.
Yeah. Andrew Garfield is maybe one of my favorite actors of all time.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah,
he's definitely great.
They all bring something interesting to it. Although I will say, the three newest Spider-Man movies from Tom Holland, like I think Tom Holland's great, but they just don't feel like Spider-Man movies.
I don't watch them.
So
keep it.
Yeah,
I root for him. I'm happy he's with old Rue from Euphoria, but good for them. But
I do like Euphoria.
I started to move away from it at the end.
Me too.
It was too much.
Well, it was also I'm not necessarily. I wasn't like a big fan of the play dictating the movement of the episodes.
I love the play. I thought that was like
great,
a genius thing.
Really, I don't know. It
was hard to keep up with.
It missed for me. It felt too chaotic, and I feel like they didn't give us what we wanted.
Exactly, but the first season is just the most extreme version of everything that a high school kid deals with.
Yeah.
Drugs, sex, alcohol, all that shit, and all the chaos that goes along with it. But this was like, 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah.
Way further than the majority of the world has went to. But it's
Definitely.
it's compounding that so you could like see the reality of it.
Yeah.
But then when she's stealing briefcases of like hundreds of thousands of dollars, I'm like, keep it. It's getting old.
Yeah.
That ain't real.
I felt like the first season, Rue's character, by all accounts, because I don't know, and thankfully I haven't really known anybody personally that deals with that kind of drug addiction, but by all accounts, from everything that I've heard, is like it's an amazingly accurate depiction of somebody who's struggling in that world.
Yeah, I would say that as well, but
I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Okay, second category. I usually ask people 3 books to take with them. Are you a reader?
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to pick books? Or if you don't pick books, I would like to know 3 of your favorite pieces that you've ever done.
Oh, 3 of my favorite pieces that I've ever done.
Yeah.
So they might be unconventional because that has to do a lot with like what was the challenge ahead of me and did I hit that? So the halftime show at the Harlem Globetrotters thing, I had 10 minutes and I really feel like I nailed that piece. So my Curly Neal piece would be one that I picked. My latest Kobe Bryant painting.
Yeah.
I think set the standard for a new thing. Like I haven't released anything that I did in studio that wasn't as good as that Kobe piece, at least to me.
Yeah.
So Kobe Bryant, and then the Dwayne Haskins one has meant a lot to me lately. So those are the top 3. But I will give you my 3 books.
Okay.
Yeah, you're at. Unless you want to cut me off.
No, I want to know. Usually people are like, I don't know books.
I will go with the Bible, specifically. I don't know, maybe something easy to read like the NIV.
What is the NIV?
New International Version.
Oh, okay.
It's
Is it like abridged?
It's just a translation that isn't super, super literal.
Yeah.
But it's also not like there's a spectrum of Bible translations that get super, super literal and then super, super like, this is what we think the author meant at that time.
Yeah.
And it kind of sits right in the middle of that.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's an easy read. So I would definitely pick that. I would pick The Idiot by Dostoevsky, and then I would pick The Last Lecture by Randy Pausch.
Amazing. What a book.
I read it like maybe a dozen times.
Yeah, and that was another one that my favorite part of that book is whenever someone was driving to work and they were like, I seen this guy ahead of me in a car just like happy, singing, and it ended up being this dude with terminal cancer. Unreal. Always stuck with me.
I mean, I remember watching the actual lecture on YouTube back in 2007.
Yeah.
And just thinking like, what an amazing person. And the Pittsburgh ties, obviously. Like,
yeah.
So
I wonder, I should probably look up some of his family around here. And
I think his family moved to Virginia shortly after he had passed away. And I think his wife remarried since then. But it's weird to think because like he had those 3 little kids.
Yeah.
And now the oldest is probably in his 20s.
Yeah, it's weird to think about that. And like, yeah, it's wild. Okay, next category, 3 CDs to take on a desert island.
I really, really like Coldplay's Viva La Vida.
Coldplay. A lot of people have been picking Coldplay lately.
And Viva La Vida came out when I was 13. So like I had not really been conscious of music. Really, like it was just on, but I didn't really care about artists or their work or whatever. But something about Viva La Vida and the tone of that album, I really love how it's like you think of Viva La Vida as a song, but it's like a whole concept. Like
the whole thing together. It's like a story almost.
There are songs in there like Death and All His Friends that end the album is just an amazing piece of art that I love. Violet Hill is such a good rock song. Strawberry Swing is
Coldplay.
Amazing. But I'm telling you, man, like the Coldplay that came from 2000 to 2010 was nothing to mess with. They were so amazing. And you know, I don't know if their albums have been like super strong after that point, but they released a song this past year that I thought it was like so beautiful. It's called Coloratura. It's like 10 minutes long, and it gives you like a Pink Floyd type of vibe. I mean, they still make really great music, but
I'll have to dive into them again.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So definitely that one. I really loved Circles by Mac Miller.
It's amazing. All of it is. It's a sin.
Yeah. Everybody's gotta live.
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna die.
I mean, I was listening to whenever you came in.
Yeah.
The only person up in the studio, a portrait of him, but it's probably, I don't know. It's so weird to think about it because I've spent a lot of time like analyzing my relationship with his music, and the moment that I started listening to him, whenever Kids came out, and whenever like, you know, Kool-Aid and Frozen Pizza and Nike's on My Feet and all that, and like Senior Skip Day and all that all started to come out, and like the moment of my life when then that was happening, like I remember like exactly where I was, like all that, to where he was with like Swimming and Circles. And it makes me so sad to think about like the potential of like what other type of music could have came out of that brain. It's insane because like if you look at like, you know, the beginning of it and you listen to some of those and you listen to like 2009 or like, you know, Ladders or like Jet Fuel or any of those songs, and you're just like, this is a whole like level above anyone.
Yeah.
You know,
And
like,
I, you know,
not anyone, but like, it's a big deal.
I mean, he was so distinct, and I mean, there's nobody that sounds like him.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I find myself getting pretty sad a good bit of times listening and thinking about him. And like, I don't really find myself getting in my feelings about celebrities in that way. But like, I remember whenever Robin Williams died, it like really tore me up.
Yep.
And then it was weird because I was getting real heavy into Anthony Bourdain, like, because I got into him late.
I see that book right there.
Yeah, it's like I was getting into him late, never watched him before, and then like watched him for like 2 years religiously, and then he died, and then it's just like you know, those ones hit home, but it's like I find myself listening to Mac's music and like just getting like upset about it.
I was in my feels like the other day from a TikTok video.
Yeah.
From an interview from Norm Macdonald's show.
Oh, yeah.
Who just passed away. And Jim Carrey was his guest, and Jim said something like, do you remember when you stopped by the set of Man on the Moon? And Norm took like a drink. He's like, I remember. I mean, I was also in the film, and like they just busted out laughing because Jim had totally forgot that Norm was in the movie, which I like, and just watch these guys like interact. Like,
it's like my favorite thing in the world now that like podcasting became what it is, and like we have YouTube and we're able to watch interviews because like I'm like obsessed with hearing about people in a long form, because like you can watch Ellen DeGeneres and like, you know, you get 5 minutes of like, oh, I'm promoting a movie, you know, this is that.
Ellen.
You don't learn about people.
Right.
It's like, you know, and that's really where like people, you know, that's where like there was like a crazy shift in everything.
Yeah.
Podcasting like really changed a lot of things in life.
Changed my life. And I think so because I've spent so much time alone.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
I spent so much time alone, man. Like,
it's weird.
In the studio, like, you know, Vinny's my studio partner, but
how did you two link up?
He messaged me one day and was like, "Hey, I'm moving back from Pittsburgh, but I do shoes, like, and this and that. Like, do you want to like meet up?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." It was like in the middle of the pandemic, and
yeah.
Big Dog Coffee was open in the South Side, and he actually just texted me just right now, and what a jerk! He knows I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Can't waste a second without thinking about him, I guess. So we met at Big Dog Coffee, and listen, like, I am now broke, like, after making so much traction with like where I was going, and you know, my problems aren't unique. Everybody had these problems during COVID, but I was for sure depressed, like just trying to make. And he had just moved back from Pittsburgh. He felt like he was moved to Pittsburgh from Charlotte, was getting a fresh start. Had a very positive outlook, very optimistic. And I remember thinking, this guy will never want to spend time with me ever again. He'll know, because I was like, he was so upbeat, and I could not.
Are you a bleak person?
Yeah, now I am. I mean, don't all bleak people consider themselves realists?
Yeah, I would say that to an extent.
But I don't know if I would consider myself a bleak person just because I don't have hope. Like, I definitely have hope for the world. I'm not quite sure what I would say. Like, I don't expect anything good to happen.
Yeah.
And I don't expect anything bad to happen. I guess I don't really think in terms of those things, but there are people that I just expect.
I'm a glass half full guy, though.
Yeah, I think generally, I think things are going to be okay. So, I don't know. Some days I really do feel bleak. Some days, like, you know.
I feel like it's a constant battle in life. You know?
I made a piece of art recently, and one of my best friends is a lawyer. She's a total girl boss lawyer out in New York City. She's the best.
A boss in New York City.
Her name's Jenna, and she came back last summer, and she was like, "Oh, let's like go get we like grab dinner in Greensburg," and like two of her friends came as well, people that I went to high school with, and one of her friends was like, "I love how your art just like doesn't mean anything."
You're like, "Oh, thanks."
I was like, "Yeah, okay." She's like, I was like, "Oh, what do you mean?" And because I, you know, not to take offense to anything like that. Like, I love that there's a carefree vibe to this person.
Yeah.
Of my artwork, that it's just fun to them, and I totally appreciate that. But she was like, "Oh, like like the dipped pineapple."
Oh yeah, that was sick. You did that dip series.
Yeah, thanks. And she's like, I just love that you're just doing random stuff. And I was like, oh, well, so I came up with that idea during a very difficult point in my life. And like, when you think about a pineapple, you think about these vibrant yellows and this citrusy, like really super sweet taste. Like, there's not really anything more pretentious than a pineapple,
but you
as
have
far
that
as
weight,
fruit goes.
that weight of that tar on top of it.
I think to like take something that's so vibrant and beautiful and sweet and to ruin it by the black tar, I was like, it's kind of how I feel about like growing up. Like, right now, things just don't feel very vibrant to me.
Yeah.
And
wow, that's so interesting.
Like, there was this derealization, I think, that I was experiencing, and so I explain all of that to them, and there was like just a stellar silence. There was a silence that, oh my gosh. So like, everybody sat down, and then my one friend Sarah, she just like went, "You're depressed," and yeah, I mean, like, yeah, we go through stuff, like, so, you know, but I have to paint my way through that, you know.
Yeah.
And so I'm very self-aware. I know when things are going.
Yeah, I'm definitely self-aware too. It's a good skill to have, but it's also a blessing and a curse.
Yes.
That's interesting to hear, though, the whole concept behind the Dip series, because whenever I look at it, I didn't take it as that, and it's interesting to hear you say it now.
Not every painting in that series belongs
I know, but
to
like
that sort of ideology.
That's cool that, well, it's not cool, but like, you know, you were going through something, but it's like, I love like the different meanings behind what everyone else has.
And I think it was like, I'm so glad that somebody looked at that and thought the exact opposite
of what it is.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, I love that.
Did you give me 3?
I gave you 2. I gave you Viva La Vida.
And then Circles.
And then Circles. And that last one's really difficult because I think I would go with this album from a band that I went to college with. They're called Motherfolk.
Motherfolk.
I really have to enunciate that one.
Yeah.
They're fantastic. I took some classes with them, but now they have a band and they release music that literally is everything that I love. So I would pick their album Family Ghost, I think.
Motherfolk.
I'll send you the link to
I would like to listen to it.
They're fantastic.
Is it folky?
It's very indie.
I love that. I'm an indie guy.
I think they're really great. I don't know what I would compare them to.
I want no comparison. I just want to go in there fresh.
Go in there fresh. Yeah,
absolutely. Be fresh.
Those 3 for sure.
Okay, good. Third to last question.
Yeah.
Okay, actually, I want to incorporate something new. Okay, this is my goal with what I want to do. I never tell people like what to think of before they come here. I want people to just like come here and just kind of get thrown to the wolves. But I told you to start thinking about a couple of your favorite songs. Yeah. Did you do that?
I did.
I want to know if you could come up with a favorite song, because I am going to create a playlist of everyone's desert island favorite songs.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put it on there, and I'm going to put it together, and people are going to be able to listen to it.
That's amazing. I love that.
I appreciate that.
Now, it is my favorite song at the moment.
That's fine.
I think that would be the most appropriate way to answer that question.
That's fine.
Yeah. Do you want me to tell you what it is? It's a song called, let me make sure I say this correctly.
I want you to. Take all the time you need.
It is a song by a band, by a guy who's a pretty famous TikToker. Petey is his name. Petey. And it's called Don't Tell the Boys.
Don't Tell the Boys.
Yep.
Huh. Okay.
It's a beautiful song.
Okay. I'm putting it on right now. Desert Island. Create it. You're going to be the first one. Petey.
Petey.
Petey Pablo.
Nope.
No, I'm just kidding. Petey, Don't Tell the Boys. It's added to the playlist. You are the first one that is going to be on that playlist.
Heck yeah.
It's going to be sick, though, because I'm going to go through all the old episodes and add in some of the great songs that people have told me.
What number episode is this?
This is going to be 203.
203.
203, nice. 202, one of them. I got to figure some shit out. Third to last question is something called the Death Row Meal. The Death Row Meal is, this is your last meal before you get put to death. You get an appetizer, an entree, and a dessert, and a beverage.
Yeah. Oh, man. That's such a good... Okay, so what is it again?
Appetizer, main course, dessert, and a beverage.
This is going to sound so sick to you. Permani's fried pickles.
I love it. Their fried pickles are amazing. They got like a chipotle seasoning on it, and they're amazing.
They are so good.
Their ranch is also phenomenal.
And that's the thing. That's what it has to be. Yep. It has to be their ranch.
I'm hip to it.
But then I think I would go with, because I don't know what direction to go. It's like, because I love all food so much that it's so hard to pick. But there's a specific pizza that I love in Irwin that I would get all the time.
What's it called?
You keep it crispy on the bottom. Mr. Mike's.
Mr. Mike's Pizza.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
It's really good. Yeah. It's like it's not everybody's favorite, but it's like they made a pizza with me in mind.
Yeah, what you like about a pizza. My brother lives in Irwin. I'm about to grip it up and try it out.
Good crisp. Where in Irwin? What's his address?
What's his address? It's like right off the turnpike.
Yeah, I mean,
It's right up there. But I'm gonna try that pizza out now.
yeah, dude.
I'll be there this weekend, so I'm gonna call you out.
I don't want to be one of those that's like you tell him what kind of pizza he wants, and he goes, "Oh man, that place." Like, not that I think that there's anything bad.
That's all right. I'm gonna try it out.
Yeah.
I give everyone a fair shake.
Yeah.
If you ever notice, the most fire places that Anthony Bourdain and people like that travel to are the most unexpected.
Yeah.
Don't need to be nothing crazy, but I love a good pizza. Good pizza.
For dessert?
Yeah, dessert.
Oh man. Dessert is always tough because I never usually have dessert. But I think I would have to go with I was gonna say Turner's chocolate milkshake, which would be a great choice.
It would be a good one.
That might be my drink.
That's the drink?
Yeah, I would just have that for my drink.
Okay.
Because I pick things depending on like how healthy they are for me. But I'm dying.
Yeah, you're dying, so you can literally eat whatever you want.
I'm gonna pick the chocolate milkshake as my drink.
Okay.
And then for dessert, I think I'm gonna go back to my high school days and have like a blizzard from Dairy Queen and do that double fudge cookie dough.
Wow.
Or double fudge brownie.
There you go, coming full circle.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Now, the second to last question, probably the most telling, is if you're getting ready for a road trip, you stop at the gas station, you get a snack. What's the snack you get?
I have expensive taste. So
let me guess it.
Yeah.
Just by you saying expensive, beef jerky.
Yep.
I knew it.
Yeah.
What kind? You Jack Link's guy?
If there's something that they have there that's local, I'll do that just to see what it's all about. But like, I'm so unimpressed by Jack Link's beef jerky that, I mean, I'll do that. And then the pepper one is always really good.
I like that sweet heat.
Yeah, sweet heat's pretty good.
That's a good one.
Typically, I don't even look. I just grab the bag.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cut your arm off and pay him.
Oh,
like $15 for a bag.
Dude, one time I performed at the Peach Bowl. Vinny came with me. We're in Atlanta, Georgia. We have a flight out that night. We had to get back the next day. So my flight, our flight, leaves at like midnight. So we get to the airport at like 10 and everything is closed. And we haven't eaten for hours. Like me and Vinny are starving. So we go to like all the places in the airport were like just closing as we get there. So like they're pulling the gates down and stuff. And I'm like, I will give you $100 right now to go make me a junior bacon cheeseburger. Like I'm begging people to make me some food. And everything's closed, but there's the one like Hudson shop that's open.
Yeah, like it's like a convenience store.
They had like Sour Patch Kids and they had beef jerky, and I swear I spent like $80 on beef jerky because it was like $15 a bag.
Yeah, I know. And you're like,
Vinny had to get the industrial sized bag of Skittles or like whatever he got, so it was like $84.
Terrible.
Oh man, that's
a good one. Beef jerky though, that's a good choice.
The beef jerky's a good choice. Low in carbs, great protein. I don't know.
keep it up. You know who has a nice beef jerky for cheap is Aldi.
Really?
Oh yeah, I just bought them actually 2 weeks ago. I was like, beef jerky. It was like $8 for like a 2-pound bag.
Yeah,
which is absolutely ridiculous.
I miss the stuff that comes in a can. Do they still have that anywhere?
You mean like the sawdust?
Yeah.
No, I mean they got it.
That's a childhood like.
Grow up. You're getting duped. You're getting duped. They're taking the shit that falls on the ground and they're putting it in a blender and they're like, hey, this isn't a true can now.
Dude, but I remember.
I used to buy it all the time though.
In middle school, playing baseball.
Oh yeah.
And you would like pretend that you were chewing.
Me and Vinny actually had a football coach that put a whole can of chew in at one time and would just roll around with that in his mouth.
I had a football coach like that too, except instead of Gatorade, he would use vodka.
What a good time. All right, last question. If you could have a conversation with anyone alive or dead, who would it be and why?
I think the obvious answer, given my religious background, is Jesus, but that's just so easy. I don't want to do
so
that.
Easy. I don't want to know that. I don't want that answer.
That's the answer.
Or a loved one.
Yeah.
It's like, I get it. If your loved one passes, I get it.
Alive or dead, that's such a good question. I really want to answer this well. If I could have a conversation with anybody living or dead, And it's a hard question for me to answer because the people that I looked up to when I was little, like Ben Roethlisberger and Sidney Crosby, like I've met those people, and Mario Lemieux. So it's like I met those people. They were insanely normal. It's like, do I want to meet anybody? But I think I would have to pick somebody that's a good hang at the time. I think like, so if I would go the Freddie Mercury route, I don't know if we would hang out well.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because he just seems like he would just, he would be too much of a party animal for me. I feel like...
yeah, Freddie might be a wild one.
Freddie's a wild one for sure. So I think...
What a good answer, though.
Yeah.
It would be a good question. It would be a good time to talk to him.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. You've probably seen some shit in his day.
You know, I think if I got him as an older guy,
yeah.
Like if he had lived longer and he would be in the 70s now.
Yeah, probably 70s.
I would talk to him right now. For sure.
That would be dope.
Mac.
Yeah.
That's my answer is Mac.
That's a good one. I would like to. I've only met him very briefly once at like Time Bomb, but
I've never met him.
It would be cool to have that conversation with him.
Yeah.
You know, and just talk to him about like, you know, his life and where he is now.
I think like
I never really gravitated towards Wiz. You know, I liked his old stuff. It was cool, but like I'm not like a...
It was such a flex. I was a freshman in 2009, and it was such a flex to like go to a Wiz or a Mac concert back then.
Oh yeah,
because
they were good times.
I was like 14.
Yeah,
so
you're like got that cushion orange juice shirt, man. It's sick.
Like you had those like high school girls that would be like, oh,
yeah,
the Mac concert. It's like, yeah,
that's
like
the good
who's
stuff.
the creepy person that took you there? Like,
yeah, I know, right?
Who's
Strange.
the 21-year-old weirdo?
Weirdos.
That took you there, you know?
Yeah, what are those guys doing now? Who knows? I appreciate you coming over and talking with me.
Oh man, anytime. It was so much fun. Like I love the setup, and I'll be honest, I wasn't gonna do it, but then you were like, oh, I have all this Turner's tea, and I was like, oh yeah, well then I'll be right over.
On deck, Turner's tea. All right, take a second, promote your pages, where people could find your work, all the good stuff.
Everything that is mine is under Cody Sabol Art. So at Cody Sabol Art on just about every platform. I have nothing else other than those to promote. I would just appreciate if you checked me out and gave me a fair shake.
Fair shakes.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe your thing can be, I like watching Dr. Pimple Popper and Finger Painters.
Dr. Pimple Popper. Do you watch that?
No.
Okay, good. All right, everyone else that's listening, appreciate it as usual. Another great guest, another good week of conversation with creatives in our city. Much appreciated. Spotify has since integrated a reviewing system. If you love me and you're listening on Spotify right now, reach on down and give me a 5-star review. It will go a long way. But I appreciate you listening, and I'll call you right back.